All right. So, each of you awake to the sound of morning birds. You instinctively look down, expecting to see the gut wound from Odin's knife, but there's just nothing there. You all feel utterly exhausted, like you've been put through the ringer, but the wounds that you suffered in the Isle House appear to have been only in your mind. They were psychic damage. And more than that, even the wounds that you suffered in the fight with the masked man before being teleported there also seem to be gone, leaving you behind only an unbearable splitting headache. You're not physically damaged, any of the three of you, but you all three have one level of exhaustion because you didn't actually sleep through the night, and you had a pretty severe series of encounters basically through that night. So none of you have slept. You have a point of exhaustion, which gives you disadvantage on skill checks, I believe, for one level of exhaustion. You'll need to basically take a proper sleep before that will go away. It is morning time. You are outside of the woods that lead to Wonderland. Do you remember why you're here?
We were on a mission for one of the rejoins.
Yeah, which is in Wonderland. That's where you were heading.
And we just landed, basically.
Yeah, well, you walked a few miles
Walked
down,
through some of the forest, anyway.
Yeah, down this cliff, and then set up camp because it was nighttime. Actually, looking around, Kitas and Nevar, you guys see each other, but Peter is not there. And Peter, you're looking around, and they're not around, but you do see that you're at the bottom of a cliff.
Do our communicators still work? Our sounds?
You mean your walkie-talkies?
Yeah.
Yeah, those still work.
Alright. Hey, Peter, where you at, man? We don't see you.
I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna have to look around and then use some perception, see what's going on.
You know where you... Well, I mean, you intuit where you are. You did jump off the cliff and fell all the way to the bottom. And where you should be shattered, your wounds were healed. You're still alive. You're fully intact except for the headaches. But you're at the bottom of the cliff, and they're still at the top.
All right. Well, I'll let everybody know. I'm just at the bottom of the cliff.
Okay.
So you got some climbing ahead of you, or some means of getting back up. What are you guys doing?
Let's see. I think I have some rope on me. I don't know if it'll be enough to get down to him, but...
I don't think you have rope. Navara does. Navara has 50 feet, but that won't be enough. It's 150 feet down.
Well, I've got 50 feet too, but...
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
We're still 50 feet short.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I mean, even tying the ropes together, I mean, that'll be whatever might work, but that's still a long way to climb. 15 stories.
Can I take a moment to turn on all my lights, my 4 lights, and then just spread them up and just kind of swirl around the inside just to see if there's anything I can climb up?
One sec, Taco. Yeah. So she thought you were reporting it stolen? Yeah, it sounds like she thought it was stolen. And that's how it's supposed to work. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to work. But it sounds like she turned that one off like it was stolen, because anytime you report it stolen, then you activate that one immediately. And it sounds like that's what she did. They probably... I don't know if they can even... Hopefully they can. I don't know if they can even deactivate that. The whole time, like, it'll be an hour on the phone or something?
Yeah, like it's gonna be a long wait.
Like, it sounds like that's what happened, is that they canceled that one, thinking it was stolen. Like, she probably did it on accident, like maybe it was a checkbox that she got checked or something, I don't know, but...
No, she said that, well, it happened before, because I got work, it happened immediately.
No.
Why didn't she tell me that?
Yeah.
I would have said, okay.
It would happen in the case of it being lost or stolen, that's when it's supposed to, but not like, you just send me another one because it's expired. Yeah, for a normal replacement one, like just for expiration, that's how it's supposed to work, is that you get it in the mail, and then when you call it, that's when that one will deactivate. But what she did is a different process. She did like lost stolen, is what she did. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Okay. Sorry about that. Sako, go ahead. You were saying your idea?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, shoot my lights up, scatter them out along the edges of the wall, and just kind of swirl them up as high as it'll go. See if I can find like a ladder or something to climb.
It's bright out. It's morning. But I mean, you can. That's to help look around and everything. Go ahead and roll a make it investigation actually. You had it on. Oh shit! You have disadvantage because of the exhaustion. So, I was curious what the disadvantage was for, but the natural one. Either way, looking around, I mean, this is a natural cliff face. There aren't ladders and stuff to get back up. It's a natural one and not smooth. Like, it is a very rough surface, so you would theoretically be able to climb back up. It would be very tiring and would take some time. But I mean, you could make it. It's about 150 feet up, 130, 150 feet up, quite a ways.
I'll grab my rope and put it at the 50 foot, so that way he only has to climb 100, and then he can grab the rope and see if Navarre and I can drag his ass up the rest of the way.
Sako, don't you have like fly or something by now?
I don't have any fly spells ready, no.
Oh, you don't prepare.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Honestly, I didn't even think about this being much of a challenge. When I first looked at it, I was just like, well, shit, Sako was at the bottom of the cliff, so that's where he's going to be. So.
Yeah, I've got a teleport, but I've already used my 7th level slot for the that first battle.
Well, it still counts as a long rest.
Oh, so my slots are open again?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you scroll up, all your slots will be back. Yeah, they're back.
Worst case scenario, I can just teleport back up to you guys, but maybe I should look around down here first.
I mean, that is a pretty, that's kind of a waste of a 7th level spell for, teleporting up 150 feet. That's intending for, like, teleporting across the world, you know what I mean? But, I mean, if worse comes to worse, sure.
He could just do that if he has to go to the fridge to get a beer or something. He just doesn't want to go. Just hits his level for that.
Look, if you've had a day off and you're not doing anything, you're just at home anyways, why let that 7th level spell go to waste? You teleport that beer to you.
Or to go to the bathroom or something. Let's make it easy.
Yeah. Teleport your piss to the toilet.
Yeah, you don't even gotta get out and do that.
What was I talking?
The future is now.
I can't use the present forms to grow wings, can I?
No. That's basically for the like give yourself claws, or like you could give yourself climbing. You could climb yourself up and down. I don't know if you'd be strong enough to carry him. But like for gills and things like that, but not major. You can't grow new limbs like wings and that kind of thing.
If I was strong enough to carry Sako, worst came to worst, I have spider climb. He could jump on my back because it says spider climb leaves my hands free too. So
you have spider
I could grab onto him. Yeah, I could grab onto him and spider climb back up the wall if I had to. If he can't make it.
What do you have spider climb for?
I don't know. It says it's on my thing. It's one of the ones that I chose to have utility spell.
Okay.
So
that would totally work. I mean, you'd be able to carry him. You have an 18 strength, I think.
Okay.
I mean, presumably, it's not going to be an automatic thing. You're going to have to roll for it.
Well, yeah.
It's still 150 feet is a long fucking way, so... I guess you guys tell me what your plan is.
What do you think, Sako?
I think what I'll do is just kind of look around down here for a minute, see if there's anything of interest, and then I'll either start climbing or we'll figure something else out.
Oh, the other thing, too, is skill checks you guys are going to be at disadvantage on from the exhaustion, so keep that in mind, too.
Yeah.
You don't want to go plummeting back the rest of the distance. Alright, you're going to look around, Sako?
Yeah, look around down here since I'm here, see if there's anything of interest, and then also do maybe an arcane sweep just to see if I can sense anything.
Okay. So I guess first, do another investigation. What are you looking for? Anything specific, or are you just looking just around in general?
Just around in general. It sounds like it's just a large pit, so I just want to see if there's any items around or if there's anything of interest on the ground as opposed to just dirt.
Go ahead and roll your perception. It's not a pit, though. You didn't fall in a hole. You jumped off the edge of a cliff, and you're at the forest at the bottom of the cliff. Like you got
perception?
Yeah, perception. I mean, it's basically you're just in the middle of a forest, and there's just a cliff face next to you, that's all. You rolled a 19 with disadvantage. You had a 19 and a 20. For a total of 32, you see that? Because he has a fucking 13 modifier. That's insane. Fucking 32 on a perception roll. I didn't even have anything down here for you to find, but I can't let a roll that high go unpunished. You look around, you see a baby deer, a baby rabbit, and a baby skunk all sniffing and playing in a small little circle of mushrooms, and then they go running off. As soon as you've kind of stopped and noticed them, they go running off into the woods.
Oh, I so want to set fire to the woods right now.
What? And the rabbit kept tapping his foot on the ground real hard, like thump 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 thump.
Oh yeah, I'm still gonna set that forest on fire. I'll come back to that later. I guess we'll start.
Do you want to hunt down the neighbor's mama and kill it first?
Yeah, something like that. I guess we'll start climbing up, and I'll climb up as far as I can go, and hopefully I can grab that rope that they're dropping down.
All right. Let's do it this way then. So you've got 100 feet of rope that you guys are dropping down from Kitas and Ibarra. What are you doing? Okay. Like, is somebody going to hold it? Are you going to try to tie it off? What are you doing?
I am going to... I'm going to take a look around and see if there's a tree close enough that won't sacrifice too much more rope length and see if I can tie it around the tree.
Based on where you guys set up camp, the nearest tree was probably 20 feet back. It's a ways, but there are rocks though. I mean, there are, looking around, you'd see these rocky outcroppings of the ledge. In fact, the rocks that Peter jumped off of are protruding from it. You could easily tie it around that, and it would be nice and secure.
Okay, then I'll tie it around that, and then keep an eye on it to make sure it's not fraying or coming loose or anything.
Okay. Roll a. We'll just do flat dexterity check. In fact, roll this one in the tower too.
Is that for me?
No, that's for Kitas.
Stupid disadvantage.
You tie the rope around the top of it. Which rope are you using? You have hemp and I think Navarro's is vine, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think I've got vine.
Okay. Is yours hemp, G?
Yeah, mine's a hemp rope.
Okay. All right. Which one is the top? Which one's the bottom?
What do you think, babe? Hemp on top? Probably tougher to go around the rock, maybe, than the vine would be.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. As you are tying the hemp around the top of it, you scrape the rope against an edge that you didn't think was going to be sharp, and as soon as you pass it over, it immediately, this was like blade sharp, this one little chip. In fact, it was probably something that this is limestone rock, and as Peter was jumping off, or the masked man was jumping off, a boot print probably cracked this and caused a sharp edge there. And as soon as you pass the rope over it, it begins to fray it almost instantly, just for how sharp it is. The rope isn't destroyed or anything, but there is definitely a point at which this rope is now weakened. You rolled a natural 1. You had a 17 and a 1 because of the disadvantage.
Okay.
So it's there, and it's secured around the top of it, but it may not be too reliable, is how you feel about it.
If I still have the option, since I already used my turn, I'm going to hold on to it as well, too, like tug-of-war style, and embrace myself, just in case it does come loose.
So you're going to kind of just lean back and, wrap it around the arm or something, too?
Yeah, and I'm going to leave it tied to the rock, but I'm also going to grab near the rock, too, like a, tug-of-war style, and get ready to hold and brace, and if I need to get some extra, in case it does fray around the rock, hopefully I can...
Okay, what's Navarre doing?
I think I'm gonna use my... Oh no, he might be too far away. Hang on.
He's 150 feet down. We'll call it 130, actually. 130 feet down, sorry.
I can't use it. I didn't realize it was touch. I was gonna use enhance ability.
You'd need to be down there with him first.
Yeah. So I guess I'll just kind of hold on to Kitas in case it
keep an eye out if you want to, and make sure nothing's coming up on us while we're trying to pull him up.
Okay. All right, so you've got a rope then that is dangling down. You've got 100 feet, which means Peter needs to be able to climb up 30 feet to be able to get to the bottom of the rope and then hold onto the rope with you guys kind of holding to the side. For Peter, you kind of looking at the base of the cliff there. You said you were gonna look around some more for just an Arcana check and everything while they're preparing the rope?
Yeah, just make sure that everything's kind of cool down here.
Okay, go ahead and make an Arcana check as well, and go ahead and roll it with advantage actually because that perception check was so high. Oh, okay, yeah, it just makes it a flat roll because you had advantage and disadvantage at the same time, so not a great roll, but looking around, the only thing that glows other than your own stuff, which is glowing pretty heavily these days, but the only thing that kind of stands out for you that is obviously containing some latent amount of an arcane rill is there is a spot on the ground, a very thin, about 2-inch line on the ground. And you go and look over there, and just by looking at it, you've kind of piece together, this is the spot exactly where you fell, and more importantly than that, that line is where the sword went through you and into the ground, and that's you're seeing the profile of the blade where it went into the dirt. But that's the only thing that appears to be showing any arcane glow at the moment.
Sounds good. I guess I'll start walking towards the cliffside and climb up.
Okay. So you look up the cliff a ways. You can see, Ketis and Navarre are both kind of leaning over the top of it and waving down at you. Obviously, you guys can communicate over the Rocky Talkies. That's what we're calling the stones of far speech, by the way. They're small stones in your ear, so I'm calling them Rocky Talkies. Except I can't spell it. Calling them Rocky Talkies like that because I thought that was clever. I didn't come up with that. Anyways, but you're able to talk over those. So you look up, you see them up there waving down just to kind of get an idea of where you're at and hold onto the rope, but you're not to the rope yet. And then looking up, you've got about 30 feet or so that you need to climb along this wall before you can get to the rope. And then once you've got the rope, you can kind of use that to secure yourself. And then just kind of rappel yourself the rest of the way up. Maybe with them pulling at the top or something, who knows. But at least that's where you're at. So go ahead and make a... it's athletics for climbing, so go ahead and make an athletics roll. You're going to have disadvantage still because of the exhaustion, just for how tired you are, but no further modifiers for it.
Okay, I'm sorry, one more time.
Athletics roll. And it'll still be a disadvantage automatically. You don't need to put disadvantage on, it'll be a disadvantage because of the exhaustion.
I have a question. Can I use plant growth since it's technically my rope's a vine?
You
Does it have to be alive?
You have a million things on there. So I mean, you have a ton of things you could do here. By all kinds of things that could help there. What's plant growth?
It's a level 3.
Peter did roll a natural one.
Oh, no.
You got a 10 and a 1. This exhaustion's gonna really fuck you guys up. So let's see, plant growth. I guess before we go to the plant growth, for Peter, you kind of just start, and you've only just barely got your feet off the ground. You're only probably 4 feet off, like your feet are only about 4 feet off of the underbrush below, and you reach for another rock up there and grab it and start to pull your, to lift your weight on through it. But as soon as you put most of your weight on that, the rock just dislodges and comes tumbling off and crashes into your foot, throwing your foot away. Just an awful pain. It'll be. Whoops. Not what I intended. Let me turn that back off. There we go. You take only 2 damage, but it knocks your foot out from underneath you, throwing your balance off, and you go tumbling face first into the dirt down below. But you've only taken 2 damage, but the embarrassment hurts more than the physical pain. Taking 2 damage from it. All right. Plant growth. As they see you kind of struggling with this down at the base of the cliff there, with Navarre kind of thinking over what options she's got. Plant growth, 1 action or 8 hours, so 1 action for casting it normally, I guess. That's not ritual, though. So spell channels vitality into plants within a specific area. There are 2 possible uses for the spell, granting either immediate or long-term benefits. If you cast a spell using 1 action, choose a plant within range. All normal plants are in a 100-foot radius centered on the point become thick and overgrown. A creature moving through the area must spend 4 feet, blah, blah, blah. Excludes, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't matter. And the longer one is basically enriching an area of land, which isn't going to matter here. The range is actually 150 feet. And it affects plants in a 100-foot radius. Thick and overgrown. I mean, it's so how it's supposed to work is it's supposed to make plants like thick and overgrown, larger. It doesn't really say make a vine grow longer, but I would say that that's still a fair use of this. I would say that ought to work at least enough that to get an extra 30 feet of rope, basically.
Could that be casted on that little foresty area where the stupid rabbit was, and give me enough lift to at least climb the tree and get 30 feet up in the air?
Either result of it, I think, would get you to the rope at least without having to climb on your own. but you're still at the base of a cliff and you're still going to have to climb the rest of the way up this rope. You'll just have advantage because of the rope, which means you won't have disadvantage. It'll be a wash, basically. So you'll just have flat rolls without disadvantage to make it up the rest of the way, and it's going to be 2 of them at least for 50-50. So basically, for Nivara, yeah, you can use that and make the vine. In fact, I would say it this way: that instead of just the vine rope being, a smooth rope, that you would, kind of add protrusions to it. It's going to ruin the rope. You're not going to be able to use it again. You can always, make yourself another one or buy another one if you need to. But the vine rope will sprout thick branches on it, basically, that could be used more like a ladder. Does that make sense?
And I'm still out of portents, right?
No, you get them back, actually. You got a long rest.
Oh, I gotta roll for those then.
Yeah. You haven't done the ritual yet. So, I mean, if you want to sit at the base of the hill and do the ritual, you can do that.
Yeah, I'll take a moment real quick to do that.
Sure. All right, so you sit down while Nivara and Kita, and you just, over the Rocky Talkies, you explain, hey, I just tried this and just landed flat on my face, and give Nivara and Kita a minute to figure out the plan while you sit down and kind of, spread the sand out, roll throw the wooden carvings out, all that stuff. Go ahead and roll a d20 3 times. Probably a good idea to have that 13, 4, and 17. I'm changing them on the sheet for you. There you go. All right. Now for the plan, what are you guys thinking?
All right. Well, I guess I'll use plant growth and at least make it longer.
Well, I'm thinking
climb up.
Try to, if we need to, we can take the rope off the rock and kind of pull him up a little bit if we need to, if he gets too tired. You know what I mean, babe? You and I can pull him up if his hands get too tired on the climb or something.
Yeah. All right, go ahead and mark off a spell slot, third level. And so just as you're standing back up, Peter, after you've kind of, opened your eyes and kind of returned to normal world here, you look up and see that the vine that is hanging is still, the actual rope that's above isn't affected. So basically the first 50 feet of rope that you see has extended down and is coiled up at the base, down at the base of the cliff just in front of you. But it is kind of spread out a little bit, and it's kind of split itself into almost 2 separate ones with these branches between, making it into almost essentially a ladder, which you can hold on to and use to be able to pull yourself up. You'll be able to climb this portion of it. You're still going to have to make a couple of rolls, but because it's ladder, basically you'll be able to secure yourself to it, meaning that you shouldn't be able to fall easily unless the rope tears or something to that effect. But you basically will be able to make flat rolls instead of disadvantage rolls. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. All right, go ahead and make 1 athletics roll. Okay, so that was actually a 13. I meant to have you, click the advantage so that it would flatten out, but it was a 13 plus 8 for a total of 21. The roll shows a 7, but what you dropped was the 13, so we're counting the 13, because that would have been the flat roll. So anyways, you grab the base of this kind of impromptu ladder and climb your way up, and without much difficulty you make it up to the break point where the ropes are tied together, where this vine has kind of been tied off to this hempen rope, and you're there. So basically you're about halfway up this cliff. What's the plan? What are you guys doing from here?
I guess just hold the rope steady unless he looks like he's starting to get tired, and then we can start pulling him up.
How do you reply, Peter?
Yeah, that works. I'm going to cautiously pull myself up and taking my time. I'm just making sure things are okay.
Okay. It is windy, and although you're not afraid of heights, it's pretty damn scary being, just attached to just this rope. At this point, you're 75 feet up the cliff, basically, in the middle of just open air all the way around you. The only thing that you've got that's secure is this rope ladder under your feet, this vine ladder, and you're about to step off of that and start climbing up a hempen rope. will still make them. Well, actually, yeah, you'll be back at disadvantage because you won't have the ladder anymore. You'll just be on a regular hempen rope. So if you climb up this next step, you're gonna have to make this next 75 feet of climb. Sorry, it's less than that. It was 75. Yeah, 65 feet of climb on just a hempen rope. Just wrapping your arms around it and just arm over arm, pulling yourself up without any footholds. You can brace your feet against the wall, but you're still gonna be disadvantaged because of the exhaustion.
All right. At this point, can Navarre and I both pull on him, and the two of us together could work maybe easier than him on his own?
Yeah.
He just holds on tight?
Yeah, that was why I was asking what the plan was. I mean, if you guys tell Peter to do so, he could just hold still, basically still holding on with his feet in the ladder, and you guys just pull it, kind of arm over arm, what's the word, like basically one in front of the other, just kind of, you both pulling the rope backwards to pull it across the way. Is that what you're going to do?
You want to try that, honey?
Yeah.
It might be easier for us together than Peter on his own. So yeah, we'll do that.
That works. And then while I'm holding onto that rope, I'll put a little bit of a push on it, so that way there's a little less tension in the rope. So I'll do my best to climb up the wall.
Okay.
But if possible, is there a way I can just look at my bracer for feather falls and prepare in case something happens?
That's a reaction anyway, so yeah, you definitely can. If it were to snap or something like that, I would say for sure you'd have time to, smack that sigil on your bracer. Good call.
All right, so I'll grab that, and I'll just keep an eye on my bracer too, so we're ready.
And that, I think, don't you have unlimited uses of that? I think you do. Meaning you could tap it. It lasts for 1 minute. You might as well just tap it anyways, actually. I think it's unlimited uses. It's not, X number of times per day. And, if they pull you up, it might take more than a minute, but you can just tap it every minute. That's kind of overpowered. Maybe I should take that away. Because you could just tap it every minute and never, ever fall. Anyway, all right, so Kiedis, Navarre, you guys are up at the top and kind of beginning to pull this rope back. Where you tied it off at the rock, you're grabbing ahead of that basically in the rope, because where you tied it off, you're not untying it, because that would drop him. So you're kind of reaching below that where it's still taut and pulling the rope there. So you're not. What I'm saying is the part where it's frayed is not in line anymore. It's still tied to the rock. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's not in a place that it's dangerous for you or anything, as long as you're able to carefully pull this rope back. Go ahead and, just for the initial pull of grabbing it, make an athletics on Kiedis. And I'd say even with advantage, this is a pretty safe move for you. But not with that shitty roll. You rolled a 3, and I don't even... Oh, you had advantage and disadvantage, yeah, so it was a flat roll. But you grab it, and as you're beginning to pull it, you hear somebody shout from behind you, and in fact, actually roll a perception on Navarre. Kiedis, you would not be focused on this, because you're focused on trying to pull the rope. Ooh, dropped a natural 20. That's sad.
Dang.
But it was still sufficient. You rolled a 6 plus your 15, or plus your 9's a 15. You hear a voice shout out from behind you. No, actually, sorry, you don't even hear it shout. What you hear is one male voice yell, "Hey, I think they need help," and then you hear a woman reply. She says, "Okay, let's go." She's very quiet, like resigned. She says, "Okay, let's go." And then you hear another man grouse saying, "We don't have time. Just keep on the path." And it's from a ways behind you. You don't see it. It's from inside the woods a little ways. You don't see them initially, but you do hear that talking. Navarre specifically. Kiedis, you heard it too, but you're too focused on the rope. Go ahead and make another athletics roll on Kiedis, and then Navarre, let me know what I guess let me know what the both of you guys are doing. Peter, you don't hear this at all. You're still kind of just listening to the wind blowing in your ears. Another natural 1.
Damn it.
You're just trying to drop him. You're trying to grab this rope, and it's still secured. So I mean, you don't have the weight on it. You're just tugging on it, and trying to pull this rope over to be able to kind of pull the weight of 100 feet of rope and Peter up with one arm while you're leaning on the side of this cliff. Basically, it's just a very awkward position to get it pulled up. But you're still having trouble with it. Basically, you just keep pulling on this rope, but it's just too heavy to keep yanking out of your arm. But you're both basically up there. You both heard these voices behind you. What are you guys doing?
Did I hear it too?
Yeah, you both heard it. You just you're still looking down at the rope.
All right. Can I kind of look behind me without losing my concentration and hand grip on the rope?
You don't have a grip on the rope yet. That was you trying.
Yeah,
to
I guess.
grip. Yeah.
All
so,
right.
yeah, you
I'm
can.
gonna look and see where that was coming from.
All right. Go ahead and roll a perception. That's better. You look back, and just as you are, actually, as you're looking over your shoulder, you see 3 people stepping out of the woods, coming back towards your direction. It looked like the path they were on headed further into the woods. Like they must have passed while you guys weren't paying, or while you were looking down the cliff here, and you know didn't notice them, but they had already gone into the woods and now were turning back to come back towards you. You see. Closest to you see a middle-aged human man, thick red, just like kind of wild hair and a thick red beard, adorned in travel-worn leathers, greens and browns. He's got a longbow that's thrown over his shoulder that looks very well used, like very well worn in, and a pair of sturdy long knives at his belt. Looks like a kind of guy that's very comfortable in the wilds. And a very tall, very lanky human female next to him, probably mid-20s or so, jet black hair, dark eyes, similarly dark leathers clothing. She looks like she's walking with a limp, though, and she's slightly behind him. She's got this rough-hewn staff that she's kind of putting down every time that she makes a step with her left leg. That has a very severe limp to it, like she's using this to kind of put some of the weight on the staff instead of her left leg. And then trailing behind the both of them is a middle-aged human male, silver hair, big fat belly, but spindly arms and legs, dressed in extremely fine clothes and light leather armor that looks like it's never been touched. Looks like he does not belong out here at all. Carrying an ornately carved short bow. Let's see, doesn't look familiar to either Ketis or Nivara. None of the 3 of them do. But they're kind of walking slowly your direction. What are you guys doing?
Alright, do they seem like they're hostile, or do they...
They do not appear to be hostile. All 3 of them have weapons of some kind, and they're all either sheathed or they don't look hostile in the least. They look like they're... The context clues that you got is that they're coming over to help.
Okay.
With some trepidation. It looks like the guy that's furthest in the back, the middle-aged guy with the beer belly, definitely looks like he did not want to help. The other 2 are kind of doing it anyways, it looks like.
Alright, then I'll say, do you guys mind if we could get a hand here? Introduce ourselves after?
The man in front begins to kind of a half step, not quite a run, but he does kind of hurry over a little bit. As he's kind of running your way, he grins at Nivara, and then he says to the both of you, he's still 20 feet away at the time. He says, hey, what's going on? What do you need help with?
Friend found his way to the bottom of the cliff, and we're trying to pull him back up the rope, and don't seem to be able to get it. So maybe an extra pair of hands would be efficient.
He is. When you say that, he kind of trots a little bit faster and rushes his way over. The woman that's leaning on the staff is also kind of tried to hurry, whereas the guy in fine clothing, the beer belly guy in the fine clothing, is still moving the same pace. He never sped up or slowed down. He's just moving the same pace, and he hasn't said a word. But she kind of rushes over. As soon as she gets over to in line with Nivara, who's a little bit behind you from the cliff, she asks Nivara, what can I do to help? Kind of peeking over the edge a little bit.
Anything to try to get him up here safely.
She looks... What's that? What was that, G?
I was just saying we could all pull on the rope, but there's enough room for us. I don't know. Unless the other 2 folks have a better idea.
The man, the red-haired guy, he says he kind of looks around, looks down the cliff, sees Peter just hanging there. Peter, you give him a nice wave. Just let one arm go and wave. Looking down over the cliff, he has kind of a cautious grin on his face. So he says, yeah, I suppose we can do that. And he kind of reaches down to grab the rope, seeing what you're trying to do, Ketis, to help you. So go ahead, and you're going to roll it with advantage this time. So I'm going to take the exhaustion off of you temporarily. Go ahead and roll it with advantage.
Athletics again?
Yeah. And maybe don't roll a 1 or a 3 this time.
No whammies, no whammies.
Hey, an 18.
Hey, finally, when I had advantage.
I'll put the exhaustion back on. So he's got one arm basically down on one side, kind of lifting it up, and you're pulling just the slack from that one arm, where you had just enough room for that, and it's just enough for you to get it wrapped around yours, and you kind of go to stand up, and as you're standing up, the woman comes up behind you and has put the staff, the kind of rough-hewn staff that she was using. She kind of puts it against the dirt in front of the rock in front of you, and then is where the staff is now in front of you, over your chest, like in front of your chest, and then she stands back, and as she's leaning back, is pulling the staff backwards with her, using it like a pry bar essentially to pry you up from the ground with this rope tied around your arm. And as soon as she pulls it back enough, as soon as she's pulled you back far enough to give some room on the rope there, the red-bearded man reaches in and grabs the rope and starts to pull it back as well. And Peter, finally, this rope is starting to move up a little bit, and it moves up and kind of fits and starts. So this first kind of movement, you feel yourself move up about 2 feet, and then it stops for a second, and then you feel another 2 feet, and then it stops for a second, and it keeps kind of this kind of unfortunately painfully slow kind of a pace, but moving steady, and so far it does not feel like you're going to fall. Go ahead and make one more athletics roll, and Navar, are you helping with the pull?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and make the roll with advantage again, G. I'll go ahead and take the exhaustion off again. Go ahead.
Me again? Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Enough. Not a good roll, but enough with all this help.
Right.
So, Peter, you kind of slowly and carefully are being, trailed up to the top of this cliff. And sure enough, as soon as you begin to get towards the top there, you see these faces of these two strangers that are, just straining and just sweat pouring off of them as they're kind of hoisting you back up to the surface. Well, not surface, but up to the top of this cliff. And your head peeks up over the edge there, and behind these two, well, the four, but you see Ketis and Ivara, and then these two strangers, the red-bearded man and this woman with jet black hair. Behind the two of them, you see somebody that you instantly recognize, although it's quite clear that he's trying to disguise himself a little bit, but you, in your specifically in your stations in the city, in Mist, in the capital, have seen this man many times, enough that you, even with this awful disguise, were able to recognize him. The man that's behind them, the middle-aged man with the silver hair and the big fat belly, he is nephew and heir to Simon Caius, the Emperor of Mist. He is essentially Simon the Emperor doesn't have. This is the Emperor. He doesn't have kids of his own, and his heir is his nephew, and his nephew's name is Trummon. So this man, his name is Trummon, long known to, and the reputation he has basically is being a little bit weaselly, a little bit, not a bad guy, just doesn't necessarily... People are concerned about the state of the Empire if Trummon is allowed to accept, the crown at the time. But anyways, that's who this man is that's behind these two that are actually just helping you up. He is not helping, he's just standing there. But you have been pulled up to the top, you are now safely back on the cliffside there. Nobody appears, Trummon doesn't recognize you, nobody appears to be saying anything, to that effect of who this person is. But you're all at the top of the cliff now, what are you doing?
And say thank you to the people that helped us, and then offer to, pay them for the troubles if they want me to.
So the red-haired man kind of is unwrapping the thing off of his arm, which is just beat fucking red, just, all the blood kind of stuck in his arm from where he was helping you pull. Looks extremely tired, kind of wipes the sweat off of his brow, just breathing heavy. He says, it was nothing. You would have done it for us, I'd assume, right? Good folk gotta stick together.
Thank you.
The woman goes over to kind of help Peter. She kind of grabs Peter. You look older than you are, so she at first believes you to be maybe a little bit elderly. So she goes over and kind of grabs one arm and puts the other hand, on your back to kind of help you away from the cliff's edge. And she says, "Hey, I've got some food. Do you need anything to drink? I've got water in my pack. Anything we can, do you need some help?"
I would probably go for some water, and I'll go with you for a little bit.
She kind of helps you away from the edge, get you to a spot where you can sit down on a rock, because you were just, hanging off the cliff's edge for the past 15 minutes. But you sit down, and she goes over to where she had dropped her pack a few feet away over by Navara, and pulls out some jerky and some water in her wineskin that she brings over and offers to you. She says, anybody else want any? We came well supplied.
Nah, appreciate it, but I think I'm alright. I think we still got water and food, don't we?
Rowan throws his hands up. He says, I'll take some. So, but they share some. So, what are you guys doing?
Let's introduce ourselves.
Yeah, I forgot about that part here.
Yeah, since I already kind of know these guys, and they seem to be keeping themselves incognito, I'd like to kind of introduce myself as well, but maybe give them a head nod, like I recognize who they are, just to kind of feel things out.
Sure. It's only Truman that you recognize. The other two, they do introduce themselves too, but the guy dressed in fine clothes and gear that looks completely unused, he's the only one you recognize. The other two you've never met before. But the man, the red-bearded man, introduces himself as Rowan. He's the red-beardy dude. And then the woman introduces herself as Antonia. There. All three are human, but Truman is he's obviously of, extremely high nobility, did not offer much help and still looks exasperated and annoyed, but that they stopped to help. He introduces himself as well. He says, in fact, actually, shit, I didn't have a fake name for him. He says his name is Tom. He introduces himself as Tom, and says that Rowan and Antonia here, he had hired them. Dogs, hush. He had hired Rowan and Antonia here to take him into the woods here, and he asks what you guys are doing. What your purpose is here in the woods.
We were just traveling through, looking for something.
Rowan says, "Looking for something, huh? What is it? What is it you're looking for? These wilds are pretty dangerous." And you notice that when he asks that, he looks towards Tom, like he's asking a question without saying it out loud of Tom. You guys know him as Tom. Only Peter knows that his name is Truman.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just going to interject and just say nothing of real value, but just a little bit of herbs here and there, and just some general supplies out here.
Yeah,
I'm going to also kind of look at Kiedis and Navara, just kind of in the eyes, so they know I'm trying to do something.
Okay. Give me 1 second to let the dog in, because she's going to keep making noise. Esther is at the door.
I'm assuming right now we're all pretty close quarters, so I can't really whisper anything to Kiedis and Navara, because they would hear it.
Yeah, you're all... Come on, dogs. Come on. Yeah, you're all pretty close by each other, enough so that if you were to verbally say anything, even if you tried to whisper, it would be quite obvious. So as you're saying you're just here looking for herbs and stuff, Rowan kind of looks at you and winks at Kiedis, as if he knows that you're not being truthful, but understands maybe why you're not being truthful. And looking at Tom, you see Tom has a very exasperated look on his face, like he's trying very loudly with his eyes to tell him, "Don't you dare." And then Rowan says anyways, "Well, we're here looking for Wonderland." And you see Tom's eyes go wide, like he's immediately pissed.
Wonderland, huh? Sound interesting.
He says, Tom here hired us to lead him through the woods to get in there safely, but since he hasn't been exactly forthcoming with information, and you guys seem like friendly folk, I'd rather trust you guys with it. Maybe we'll make the rest of the trip together. It's been a rough one for us, and seems like maybe for you as well.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Maybe this Wonderland place might be worth checking out.
Well, then it sounds like a plan. Peter, any interjection or anything there?
No. Everything sounds good. Maybe we'll team up and see what's going on over in Wonderland.
So you guys don't know what this place is. You've never heard of Wonderland, but all of a sudden you're just going to walk with some strangers into the dark woods to go.
Wonderland might have mushrooms and herbs. You never know.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's called Wonderland, dude. It's like going to be like a fun park, like an amusement park or something.
Yeah, and advertisements never lie.
Okay. Yeah. So it's going to be awesome.
So you guys kind of gather up your things. Then you've taken a few minutes to rest. In fact, I would say even a short rest, but I don't think you guys used anything that you would need a short rest from. What's that?
During the short rest, can I have a moment with Ketis and Avara just on the side and let them know what I know about Drummond?
Sure.
So that way we're all on the same page to kind of not be deceitful, but at the same time not super forthcoming until we know what's going on with Drummond.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've passed along the information you had. You also, just for the sake of narratively explaining your portent, you kind of give them an idea of the visions that you saw when you were doing your Roll the Bones ritual down at the base of the cliff there. You also, Togi was smushed in the last fight. Did you spend the time to get him back?
Yeah, I assume if we have a short rest, maybe within an hour.
Because that's exactly it. It takes an hour to cast, so...
Yeah, if it was an hour, then I'll go ahead and pull Togi back.
Okay. So you summon him on back. He comes out. At first, when you snap him open after the ritual finishes, you have this kind of bowl, this little brazier with all the herbs and charcoal and paper in there. And after you've burned it, and he begins to kind of coalesce out of these ashes that are kind of forming together, he's got a big, dirty footprint right down his back where he was smushed from that stomp. But he kind of shakes his fur angrily, like he was pissed, like a way a cat might shake if you got him wet or something like that. He kind of shakes himself off, and the footprint disappears, and he just kind of looks around and gives you an angry look, like you shouldn't have let him get stomped on, and then kind of wiggles his tail a little bit and hops out of the bowl and goes to kind of walk off and go smell some flowers nearby.
Dumb cat.
Speaking of Sako, the actual cat Toki, the real life cat, had some trouble today that Sako had to work on. So, if anything, like Sako might actually be kind of wanting that cats get a little bit of stomp, just a little bit of stomp, not enough to actually hurt it. Let's see. All right, so you guys kind of gather up your things and get ready to head off into the woods. Rowan and Antonia seem to be. In fact, actually, I would say go ahead and roll perception. All three of you, just a flat perception roll. Roll it in the tower. That disadvantage is really going to screw you guys. Let's see. All right. Nivara, really all three of you get you all rolled kind of mid-level anyways. All three of you get the impression from Antonia and Rowan both that they're exactly as they, that should have been insight, not perception, but in a way. You guys, the rolls were fine anyway, so Rowan and Antonia both seem very genuine. You've made small talk as you kind of make your way into the woods. It's just a very, we'll get to that in a second actually as far as the woods themselves, but both of them seem to be very genuine, very nice people. They tell you, yeah, they're basically woods guides out here, and people hire them. Oftentimes they've been hired specifically to lead people into Wonderland, to Wonderland rather, never in, but out to where Wonderland is, and then they turn around and go back. And this is the first time that somebody has paid enough to convince them to go inside with him. And the two of them are intending to go in with Drummond. It's very clear Drummond has kind of gotten himself a little bit further back, and they're not being careful or quiet about this, but they've explained that they don't exactly like the guy, but his money's good. So, you know, they're willing to do their jobs, obviously, to help him in there. But they don't necessarily like Truman very much. They both, you get the impression they might either know who he is or at least have an idea of who he might be, that his disguise is not very good, just like Peter recognized. But either way, they don't feel like he's being very forthright. You guys feel similarly about that he doesn't feel like he's being forthright with you. Not necessarily mean or a bad guy, he's just a little weaselly is all. It's the kind of impression you get from him.
While we're traveling, can we take a moment, or can I take a moment with Rowan and Antonia and just kind of confirm with them in private away from Trum?
What are you asking?
Pretty much just confirm their feelings and let them know that I do know this person from another place, another time.
Sure. Okay, so yeah, you tell him that that's Truman, the nephew of Simon Caius?
Yeah, and I'm trying to keep it clandestine a little bit, just between us.
You say that to them, and Rowan, the look in his eyes immediately is yeah, that's kind of what I thought. Antonia does look actually surprised, like she knew he was a noble, but didn't necessarily know just how high. And once you've kind of explained that to him, she kind of has a start, because you're walking through the woods here, and she kind of stops for just a brief second, like just a half step, and kind of instinctively looks towards him, and then immediately takes her eyes away, looks back at you, and she looks at Rowan and she says, like, should we be doing this? Like, she's, you know, afraid potentially that if something happens to him, that could mean serious trouble for the two of them. And Rowan kind of just shrugs his shoulders and he says, I mean, we've already taken the contract. There isn't much else we can do, you know. And if something happens, I mean, it's not on us. Maybe we move away and head out into the woods and go somewhere else. We've been time to leave Mist anyways, right? So you've helped them with that, in that, you know, they kind of know now that if something happens, maybe they'll need to make an exit. Anything else you wanted to discuss or anything on the trip?
No, that's pretty much it. Just wanted to give a little information and be a little more forthcoming with them.
Sure. Antonia, you know, realizing that you're not like a feeble old cripple, has shared her jerky with you, and the wineskin, just, you know, kind of making small talk and idly as you guys are kind of walking through the woods and chewing. You also, I would say, just because you guys have made kind of, you know, friends with these guys a little bit, that they told you, did you guys have any other questions, I guess, for Rowan and Antonia? Truman obviously isn't talking much, but any other questions for them before you kind of head further into the woods?
I don't know, should we ask what they know about Wonderland?
What was that, G?
Yeah, ask them what they know about Wonderland.
Okay. Antonia says, well, I mean, we've come out here lots of times. It's just, I mean, as far as what's in there, I'm afraid, you know, I can't say much, but every time we bring somebody out here, we've only had one person ever come back, and he was in bad shape. I heard of a woman that came in, and she left as well, but, you know, we didn't lead her. You know, a friend of ours did. But she made it in, and her companion was, you know, never came out, but she did, apparently. But as far as what's in there, we really don't know. I mean, every time we get there, it's just a tent in the middle of the woods, and it's, you know, there's no doors, there's no way in as far as we can tell. You know, usually whoever we're bringing walks up to the side, the flap will open in the tent, and then they walk in, and we head home, and that's it.
All right.
She does mention more. Yeah, she mentions too that every time we bring people here, they specifically are coming after something. Like they're going to Wonderland to win some fabulous prize. We kind of, from what little information we could get from Tom, and she kind of, you know, air quotes it a little bit, is that he was specifically, hey babe. Really? Did they get it fixed? Well, that's what it was supposed to be in the first fucking place. Yeah, it was. Oh, okay, because they thought you were, yeah. That's what happened then. They thought it was lost stolen, and then you're calling back to say that it's not. Yeah. Guys, let's take a quick break. Give me 5 minutes.
Sure.
Alright.
Alright.
Where is... One sec, babe. This is the fun. So generally,
Yeah, drama.
whole game.
Right, coach about opening the door. What are you supposed to do? Have to knock, and you do not open it.
Alright, just close the door.
Who is it? Who? You're not supposed to open it.
You can't open until we say open, buddy. Try again.
Roman.
I don't know any Roman.
What's that? Who? Oh, my baby. Okay, baby. Oh,
that
Roman.
Roman. I know that guy.
She said hi.
That's Rose.
And
Locks it.
yeah, it has the dog bed on the bed. And
You're not her dog. See, what's nice about it is, like, I usually get the chicken and barley, and this was random by itself. I wouldn't want to eat either one, but if I had a choice, I would get the chicken and barley. Ooh, you're gonna fall, buddy.
You're so ticklish even with the blanket on. Now it's
I think she's assessing. She's trying to decide whether it is or not. But she's still wiggling her tail. He's okay, baby girl. He's not hurting.
I still think so much. Animal. One of the dogs on Game of Thrones. Sansa adopted one,
Yeah, she needs a
and it died.
Oh,
Yeah.
and that was she did that after season 1, so I mean, that was. They were hard to work with. Hopefully, it had a full life. Yeah, because it's not your age.
I was just ordering some clothes, but I was frustrated because like even shirts for Daisy, they're on top for $1 something. And I'm like, we have like a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah, but I mean, how do you get try that? Not to make a whole shirt for
I don't know, but a lot of those shirts were on sale. Yeah. All the shirts.
practice one. Remember the rule, though. You don't ever walk through that door unless we say come in. Nobody's home. There. Okay, fine, come in. Oh, that Roman. I know that Roman. One more time. There. That didn't sound like the little Roman I know. The little Roman I know has a little kid's voice. Okay, come on in. You're not a big scary dude.
I'm back if everybody else is.
You.
Oh, I'm still here. I never left. My nose? My feet.
And your arms and I swallow your whole body.
But I need my whole body.
Please don't.
I do.
Except for your brains, no.
Except for my brains, I need only my brains. That's about right. I'm gonna get a robot body. Yep. I'm gonna get a robot body, not a ghetto robot. I'll be a a Snoop Dogg robot, and I'll do the steering wheel dance. I love that one so much because it's so low effort. It's probably the most low effort dance, and it's still iconic. It was funny. Be just a minute here, guys.
Okay.
See you, buddy. Psst, psst. Okay, thanks for waiting, everybody. Everybody back?
Yep.
All right. So where we left off. Oh yeah. So Rowan and Antonio were letting you know that what little information they gathered from Tom, who she kind of winks, saying Tom or air quotes, is that he specifically was coming here. So that you guys are tangentially aware, Peter more than Kiedis and Havara. Peter's very aware of this. That there have been a lot of border skirmishes between the Empire, Mist, and a nearby border country called Vabi. Here, VBI, that. And Vabi, for Kiedis and Havara, you guys are familiar with this too, of course, because of a guy named Kost, whom you met before. Kost was something that... Never mind. never mind. You guys don't know who Cost is. Damn it. Your other characters, Westra and Drost, know who Cost is. Anyway,
Okay.
Vabi, you
He
guys...
was the Necro, right?
Yeah, exactly. He was an Necro. Yeah, okay. So you Ben and Becky remember then. Becky, you remember?
Yeah.
It's like that middle. It's like the Middle East type place,
Yeah,
right?
it's a
Kinda.
desert region. Yeah, exactly. They use necromancy as slave labor, essentially. So zombies and things like that. This is actually good information for Sako as well. Undead in this world are not evil. They don't automatically try to eat people or anything of that sort. They're very commonly, for example, in Vabi, are used as essentially slave labor because they're just mindless. Not evil, not negative. They don't try to, go after people. They don't have any needs to eat because their body is being powered magically, essentially. So they don't need calories, which means they don't need to eat, which means they don't need to attack people. They can be made to do so and be used as soldiers and so on, but they, essentially through command. But by default, they don't attack people. So anyways, the Empire is at war with the neighboring country of Vabi, and from what Rowan and Antonio have told you, Tom is here to get a specific kind of weapon that could be used like a weapon of mass destruction kind of a thing to wipe out the hostilities in Vabi and possibly annex it. And that's what he's here for. So that's the information you've kind of been able to gather just with being friendly with these guys. But you guys kind of, just through the thinning tree line as you kind of, approaching the end of the trip there that Rowan and Antonio have kind of given you a heads up of that you're almost there. You guys, just through the thinning tree line there, you see kind of a modest-sized carnival tent, striped in white and red in the center of a clearing. There's paths from a dozen or so directions that are leaving the forest that you're coming out of that wind down towards the tent, and there are large billboards hanging above each of these paths. And as you guys exit onto your own path into the clearing there, you notice that the billboard at the end of the path that you're on is painted in this ugly, garish, bright, clashing colors, just like the blue invitation that director Elsbeth had shown you. It says in giant block letters, "Come on in and try your hand." And beneath that you see the words Trumman, not Tom, but Trumman, with a painting of a cartoon vial of clear liquid below that. And then beside that on the billboard you see Rowan with a painting of a dog's, like a leather collar, a dog's collar, with the word Carmine etched into it. And then Antonia, next to that, the word Antonia, with a depiction of a gnarled wooden heart. So basically a big billboard that says come on in and try your hand, and then below that 3 names, one of each of them, with something that you via context clues are presuming that this is what each of them is after. That whoever comes into Wonderland is, seeking their heart's desire, essentially. And that's what these 3 people are going after. And as you guys are approaching and you see this, Rowan looks up and sees the leather dog's collar up there with Carmine on it, and he kind of looks down and he goes, I guess I wasn't expecting that. And he kind of, just doesn't say anything else about it. He just kind of continues on his way down the path. What are you guys doing?
Go to.
Everybody heading in?
Yeah.
Sako, you here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you guys are making your way down. The billboard still shows their names up above this path, but you guys have gotten basically up to the tent now. And as Trumman, Rowan, and Antonia approach, they kind of walk up to the tent flap. You guys are still 15 feet back or so. You see a tent flap there was no seam or anything that you saw, but you see a tent flap essentially open up, revealing just inky blackness inside. And Trumman steps right in immediately. Rowan and Antonia kind of look at each other. They look back at you guys, give you a nice polite wave, and they say, hope to see you on the other side. And then they step inside. And then the flap closes, the blackness disappears, there's no seam, there's no door. And as soon as they're through and inside, the billboard above you guys changes, and it now shows Ketis, Nivara, Peter, and below all 3 of you is a depiction of a set of brass weight balance scales, which is what you guys were after, the last of the Idrolene, the Statera scales. What do you guys do?
Yes, head in.
Might as well.
Okay. You guys approach the side of the tent, and sure enough, as soon as you get close, the flap, that same flap that you just saw open and close, opens up. You're looking into not the inside of a tent, but just flat blackness. You can't see anything in it at all. You go ahead and step in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. You step inside after a few moments of just utter blackness. You see spotlights up here, just giant, bright, beaming spotlights. Split the blackness. They illuminate these two figures that are standing at the top of a long, elevated platform that looks kind of like a runway. You don't see your companions; they're not in here at all. The only people in here are the three of you and these two figures. And then you hear this kind of obnoxious music begin to play that you guys are hearing right now. And the walls of the room begin to light up with these kind of multicolored screens that pulsate to the beat of the music. And these two figures begin voguing their way down the runway until reaching a spinning circular platform at the end of the runway, which is located in the middle of the room here. And all of a sudden the ceilings and walls and floors of this room transform into these just thousands of multicolored neon panels that shift and flash in time with the music. That just floods this whole chamber. And every time the beats of these song hits, the spotlights kind of flash along with it. And this duo, they're just fucking voguing and posing their way down the runway, just working it and hitting to the beat so hard that they're just voguing their brains out. But the runway that they walked on begins to lower, and the music dies down, and the two of the figures finally address you. And there's a man and a woman, and the man says, "Well, hello there, contestants. I am the fabulous Edward, and this here is my darling sister Lydia, and we will be your hosts tonight. Are you excited for your quest's end? Whatever you seek, you will find it here in Wonderland."
Thank you, I guess.
I'm excited. Let's do it.
And the woman, Lydia, he's introduced himself in her. Lydia says, "Well, it's not going to come easy, though, dearies. Are you prepared for that?"
Well, I guess so.
You see both of these two that they've introduced themselves now, but Edward and Lydia are both impeccably dressed. They are very, just truly impossibly beautiful high elves. They're wearing silk robes that are in gold and green and violet, like just very bright, very garish. Think of like mid-80s Persian style, like where you'd have blues and golds mixed, things that don't go together. But these two are trying to make it work like as if it's some kind of a fashion. And they carry themselves with this poise and panache. All three of you roll a perception check. Peter, the two of these two seem a little strange to you, but you specifically notice that these spotlights keep shining right past you guys, and every time the spotlight kind of fires off, because they're going off like a laser show, like a light show almost, and every time a spotlight appears behind you, you see the three of you, you see your shadows cast against the wall in front of you. But these spotlights are firing off in all directions, and you've not once seen a shadow from these guys. You're not seeing any shadows from them. So the spotlights are going off where you should see them, but you're not seeing any of them. 1 second. I'm going to get back to the right place. There we are. Edward, as you're looking around, that's something you just noticed. They also look slightly blurry. You notice that as well. But Edward speaks up. He says, "Well, the rules are simple. You will be evaluated through a series of tests and games in order to determine the extent of which you truly want your prize. The tests will be rough, but they will be important. In Wonderland, you can only find the things you truly desire by losing the things that hold you back. You'll follow the rules, and you follow the rules of the test, and you push through the pain, and you will leave here happy. You break the rules or try to find shortcuts, and you won't leave here happy. Ready to get started?"
Let's do it.
What are the rules?
Well, there are different games and different rules, but we'll be getting to that shortly.
Big money, big prizes. I love it. Let's go.
You notice that he almost frowns, like you get almost a slight frown from him, Peter, when you say that. But both Edward and Lydia look at each other, and then they snap their fingers in tandem, and that circular platform begins to lower, revealing this massive roulette wheel. And in the darkness behind the wheel, you see this thick stone door appear in the dark, with 3 unlit torches above it. There's 3 torches on top of the door, and they're all not lit right now. Lydia speaks up. She says, "This, dearies, is the Wheel of Sacrifice. You spin it, and you give up whatever it lands on. You are, of course, free to refuse if you land on something you value too much to lose, but there will be a penalty for your reluctance. After completing enough sacrifices, the door will open. Each of you will take 1 turn at spinning that wheel, and whoever spun the wheel is the one who will have to make the sacrifice. Any questions, dearies?
I don't think so.
Alright, so who's going to
Good.
Game on.
So how this is going to work, basically this is going to be, this specific game is, you don't like one person could try 3 spins if you wanted to, but the sacrifices can be pretty severe, and these aren't things you're going to get back. Now remember, you know a very small amount about this in that Director Elsbeth came through here and escaped, and one of the things that let's say one of the things that you know she lost was 20 years of her life sacrificed. You don't necessarily know if it was this game that cost her that, you don't know, but basically that's the kind of things you can lose here, and they are permanent. They're not things you're going to get back, or at least not via, simple means. So who wants to go first? And they basically are going to spin the wheel, and then it's going to land on something, and then you'll have a choice of whether or not you want to sacrifice it or take the penalty.
I'll go first, I don't care. I always go first. I can lose another hand. Yes.
He just rushes in. All right.
Lose another hand.
That's actually on there, so don't say that loud.
God damn it. No. I only got 1 left.
Roll a d8. It's the 3rd from the right.
Okay.
There you go. All right, what is the 2? The 2 is... you hear Edward say, "Oh no. Even for somebody like you, somebody that's as healthy and mindful of your frame, somebody like you to land on body, that's just sad." And Lydia steps up. She says, "Well, there, friend, that's a tough one for you. By this sacrifice, if you choose to accept it, we're going to be your health is just going to be a bit, shall I say, diminished. And what it's going to be is if you choose to take that sacrifice, your max HP is going to go down by 15.
Okay.
You going to accept it?
Yeah.
All right. You reach over and you hit the accept button on the side of the wheel, and as soon as you do, as soon as your hand presses that button, you see both of them grin a little bit, and there's just the kind of slightest mist of this black mist that kind of feeds off of you and begins sucking towards them through the air. All 3 of you see it. It's not hard to see necessarily, but it's just kind of this life force essentially being drained away from you. I'll put you down to 109 as your max HPs, and you know what? You know what that really means, G? That means Nivara is far ahead of you in the HP race, and I don't think you're ever going to catch up.
Yes.
Not anymore.
But you feel this kind of life force drain out of you, and sure enough, you feel just slightly a little less healthy as it pulls away. But you looking towards the wheel just above it, that where that stone door is, and those 3 torches above it, one of them flares up, and there are 2 left that are unlit. And Edward speaks up. He says, he kind of claps his hands. He says, "Well, that was fantastic. Who's next?"
I guess I'll roll.
You're gonna roll. Go ahead and make a flat D8 roll. And you do hear Edward speak up. He says, "Oh, and keep in mind, we do reserve the right to modify your rolls a bit if we get a little bored with this game." And you throw this, and what you see appears on this die or on the wheel as you spin it is a hand, and you see the hand on there, almost like a old school. Do you remember like those old school like Tecmo style watches and games and things like that, where it would it'd be a flat screen, but there would be a tiny image that would flicker on it, and sometimes the image would be, it's kind of how LEDs work for like old school clocks and things like that, but it'd be an image of, do you know what I'm talking about? Like the old school like little handheld games? I don't know how else to describe it.
Like a little pixelated 6-pixel thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like little football games.
Yeah, like those. Yeah, where so the Tecmo style and that kind of stuff. You see a hand there that is made up of the hand and then 5 fingers, the thumb and 4 fingers. But as the hand shows up, the image is rotating where one of the fingers disappears, and then it goes back to the full hand, and then one of the fingers disappears, and then it goes back to the full hand. And Lydia says, "Ooh, ouch! Especially for a practitioner of the arcane arts, this one's gonna hurt." She says, "This one, I'm afraid, means you're gonna have to give up a finger." Now, just to remind you, you can take the penalty, but there are severe consequences.
It's 2 fingers.
That was nice, Chief.
That was a very John Kramer penalty. Can I ask them what the penalty would be?
I'm afraid we're not quite ready to tell you that just yet.
Can I choose the finger?
I think that's only fair. We are only in the first round after all.
Left ring finger.
Left ring finger, alright. Is there any particular, reasoning for that specific choice there, Taco?
It's kind of a useless finger. You don't really need it to cast spells. Just your index finger is really what's important to cast spells.
And just to clarify too, since this is only the first round, there's no mechanical penalty for this yet. I mean, if you lose some more, then you'll start getting dex penalties and so on, but so far, yeah. So you go ahead and reach over and you hit the accept button, and as soon as you do, they're already grinning, and you see some black smoke come out. Like when you see a very slight amount of black smoke come out just when you were kind of grousing it in your mind that this was gonna hurt basically. You in your mind are thinking this, and that thin black smoke comes out of you, out of your mouth. And you see the both of them grinning, and Edward has already reached into his pocket and pulled out what look like pruning shears. And before you, like, there isn't even any pain to it. It's really more of a symbolic thing to them, you get the impression of. But he basically has put these pruning shears down and already clipped it off as your hand is touching the button. And your finger, you pull your hand away and your finger is still just sitting there on the button. No blood, no nothing. It's just gone. It's just not attached. You look down and there's just a stump. You have like probably a ½ inch of that finger stump still there.
Can I keep the piece?
Edward kind of chuckles. He says, well, I'm afraid, we've already gotten what we needed out of it, so I don't see any reason you couldn't.
Goes in the jar of bees.
Give those bees something to eat. As soon as you let them out, they're going to be cannibals now because they've had the taste of human blood. they're gonna go
Only thing worse than being attacked by a jar of bees, being attacked by a jar of bees that have a taste for blood.
All right. And so you've smacked the button, you've made the sacrifice, the second of those 3 torches flares up, leaving one left. And Lydia claps her hands, she says, this is just so wonderful, you guys are such great sports about this game. In fact, she actually seems very annoyed by that. You definitely sense that there was some annoyance to that they wanted you to be less happy, I guess you'd say, about playing this game. And she says, now, who's next?
Alright, here we go.
An 8. The both of them actually, you roll this, and actually what comes up on the wheel as you spin it around is actually just a big glowing question mark that at first is just black, and then it lights up with like red light bulbs all the way around it, like a carnival almost, and then goes back to black and back to red as it's flashing. And they both kind of frown a little bit, and they say, well, we don't usually see this one until later rounds, but you guys have been such good sports, I don't see any reason we can't play it here. This one, I'm afraid, is going to be kind of up to you. And what you're going to need to do here, dear Naivar, is you're going to need to put something on this wheel here that you choose to sacrifice. And really, the question about it is whatever you put down, well, it's going to need to be of a similar level of sacrifice, let's say, to what your friends here have given up. Because if it's not, we're going to take it anyways, and you're going to have to sacrifice some more.
Oh, man.
So Ketis here has given up some of his own, health, his own life force, and Peter, I mean, he gave up a whole finger. So you tell me, what do you think that you have is worth giving up that is equivalent to that? And just for out of character, out of narrative here for a second, it doesn't need to be, basically it doesn't have to be a body part, it doesn't have to be, it can be knowledge of some kind if you think it's of an equivalent. It could be, a spell that you think is important or something like that, you would forget it forever, things like that. It doesn't have to be anything necessarily tangible, it just needs to be something of a similar value, but it doesn't necessarily matter whether it's corporeal or not. Does that make sense? Like, it could be, you know, a magic item. It could be, you know, a spell or something like that. But it could be, you know, a skill you have, something like that. It could be practically anything. It just needs to be, and this is something I'll be deciding of whether or not it's of equivalent value or whether you have to give up more. But the idea is, and you can, I mean, it could be multiple things. You put, you know, 10 different things on there. If the total weight is equivalent, that's fair. But if you don't put enough, they're going to take it all and you have to start from 0 again.
Alright, well...
As you're sitting here going, great, and like kind of grumbling over this, every time you say anything even slightly negative, Peter, you notice that there is black smoke coming out of her mouth, and it is being sucked through the air towards the two of them, towards Lydia and Edward. Everything you grouse about, every time you say even anything slightly negative, something is coming out of each of you and floating towards them.
Are we all noticing this, or just me?
I'd say all three of you noticed this, but it's becoming more prevalent. At first, it just, like, when you first saw it, it was just coming out of Ketis, and you were thinking, oh, that must be representative of his life force or something. But no, it wasn't. It was really Ketis's negative thoughts that were floating over, if that makes sense. And same for when you lost your finger.
Yeah, so what do you think, Peter? I don't think this game's too hard so far. I thought it was going to be tougher than this. What do you think?
Walking the park so far.
Yeah.
And when as you guys, you know, Nivara's sitting there grousing and the black smoke's coming off of her, and when they're looking at her, there's a big smile and they're obviously very happy about that. But you two kind of start having this little side conversation, and they both look at you and they look angry.
Hey, well, at least your bees get to eat, right? They'll be happy. Happy bees make for a happy Peter. So
That's
Absolutely. They've been great bees.
That's a jar of bees half full way of looking at it.
It is a half full jar of bees.
Alright, what are you thinking, Nivara?
Can it be a spell?
Yes, I mean, it could be multiple even. It can be anything. It doesn't need to be tangible. It's just a matter of what you would... Remember, its value is based on what you think its value is, not necessarily any, like, universal value. Meaning a 7th level spell doesn't mean shit if it's not something that matters to you.
Okay, so... I guess... Oh, man. Alright, well, I guess I'll do Healing Word, just because I use that spell all the time to not only heal myself, but everybody else, so hopefully it'll be enough.
Okay. You have, that's probably the spell you've used the very most, in fact. That being said, it is a super useful spell, so you will be giving that up permanently. You can't get it back.
Ever? Oh shit, ever?
Yeah.
Alright.
Like,
I'll be
completely out.
coughing very loudly in the back just to make a small distraction right now.
Alright, well, I guess I'll do Cure Wounds then.
Okay. You've used that a few times.
Yeah.
Okay. So you kind of... is that all you're going to put down?
Yeah.
How mean should I be? So you look down at the wheel and that blinking red, black question mark, and kind of just in your mind you're concentrating specifically on the natural world and how you specifically use the somatic components, like how you move your hands basically to evoke Cure Wounds. And just as you're thinking the words to it, basically about to cast a spell, you smack the button on there, and the words that you just spoke begin to fade out of your mind. I'm deleting it off of your list. You no longer know Cure Wounds. And you sit there for a second, the kind of black smoke of your annoyance floating off towards the two of them, and you look up, and the torch lights up. And Edward and Lydia grin and they kind of clap and smile at each other. They're just, oh, what a wonderful round! What a fun start to the game. And they say, well, on you go, dearies. And Lydia kind of motions towards the stone door that is just kind of slowly grumbled open towards the next round. I need to copy the notes real quick. 1 second. Peter. All right. So they kind of shepherd you into the next room there, and you're in another similar chamber to the one you just left. This room, however, there's a large screen with pixelated versions of each of your faces, and in the middle of the room there's also a pedestal, and there are 2 buttons on this pedestal. One is labeled Trust, and the other is labeled Forsake, respectively. And then Edward, in his kind of sing-songy voice, he bellows out, well, the rules, my friends, of this game are quite simple. You all probably know this already, but you're not the only ones currently making your way through Wonderland right now. This section of the game will be something of a competitive mode. Right now, there is another group in another chamber identical to this one, and the next room that you face will feature a deadly challenge. But based on your decision in this room, you can change your fate in the next. A representative from your group and one from the other group will decide the fates of both of your parties. So think hard on this one. It could mean the difference between life and death. And what's happening in this one, there's basically that pedestal with Trust and Forsake on it. You, in fact, he is going to decide right now. It is Ketis has to make the decision. He randomly, Edward just kind of eeny, meeny, miny, moes, and he goes eeny, meeny, miny, moe, catch tigers by all the way through, and lands on Ketis. And he says, Ketis, you will be the representative from your team to make this decision. And in the room next door, a member of that team is making the same decision. And how this works here, are you guys familiar with this game? Do you understand what I'm talking about? Do you know what it is?
I'm not too sure yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know. I mean,
this is a game from what's called game theory, but basically, you, Ketis, are going to decide for this team here, and then from the other team, they're going to decide for their team. Basically, how it's going to work is you, Ketis, are going to choose Trust them or Forsake them. If you both choose Trust, if you choose Trust and the opposition team, you don't know who it is necessarily, but if the other team chooses Trust as well, then both of your groups are going to face a fight, a challenge, and it's going to be on normal difficulty. Basically, everybody trusts each other, you're all going to be on normal difficulty. If you choose Forsake and they choose Trust, then you're going to basically, you guys will face this challenge on easy mode, but the other team will be an extremely deadly challenge. Extremely deadly. Now, same thing, of course, if you choose Trust and they choose Forsake, then you guys will have the extreme difficulty and they'll have the easy mode. If you both choose Forsake, both groups face it on extreme.
got it.
So you have to decide, do you think the other team is going to trust you or forsake you, and then you want to decide whether you trust or forsake them.
Okay.
So talk amongst yourselves, decide whether you want to trust or forsake them, you know, what you think will happen.
I'm thinking go Trust.
That's what I was thinking too, but
Yeah.
Statistically, that would be a wiser decision.
And Edward says,
yeah.
what makes you, just out of curiosity, what makes you think that?
Because we have a better chance at having a easier time for ourselves, but also making the playing field easier or even for both of us if we choose Trust.
Okay. So what are you doing, Ketis? It's your choice.
Yeah.
You're gonna hit
There you
Trust.
go, Josh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You smack Trust on the on the pedestal there. And the board above it lights up and it says, you chose Trust. And above that, let me see here. Actually, beside that, I guess. It says, you chose trust, and then beside that, it says, they chose deep, forsake. They basically, you guys get the extreme difficulty because the roll I did was forsake. So they get easy mode, you get extreme difficulty, hard mode. And both Lydia and Edward are just smiling and beaming with the kind of smoke coming off of the three of you. You're grousing that whoever's in the other room there chose to forsake you, or at least whoever their representative is chose to forsake you. And they're just glowingly happy, and you see another of those stone doors appear, and they kind of lead you through it, and they kind of escort you into this large chamber with these high ceilings, and hanging from these high ceilings are these large pieces of machinery that are lined up in like assembly line style. And in the center of the ceiling, where all the machinery leads into this big circular hatch, on the floor of the room there's these 3 large cubes that are shaped like 6-sided dice. With words, oh actually sorry, it's 4 cubes, because you guys got Forsaken, wait, yeah, because you got Forsaken. With words on the sides that, instead of the usual dice pips, there's words. And Edward and Lydia explain, he says, welcome to the Monster Factory. This is so exciting. Each of you will roll these dice in front of you, and you will build a bespoke foe to square off against. It can be something new altogether, nobody knows. Who wants to roll?
Are we in the room alone, or is the other team with us?
No, the other team is not in here. They're in a room. The way that it was described to you, they're in a room doing their own fight, only their version of the fight is going to be much easier.
Oh, good.
So you guys are going to roll. Whoever's going to do the rolling, it's up to you guys. You're going to roll a d6 4 times. And that's going to decide what kind of monster it is, what kind of special attacks it has, things like that. And then the 4th one is going to be because they forsook you. You're going to have kind of an extra special difficulty thing added to it, and then that monster's going to be created, and then you're going to have to fight it.
Okay, well, actually, whoever wants to roll.
A very large fire golem, and your arms are made of jello.
Yeah, there's exactly that. It'll have some kind of a special difficulty thing because you guys were Forsaken. Who's going to do the roll?
You guys want me to, or yeah, you go ahead, Peter. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So 4 d6s.
Well, roll the first one. And what you roll the die, and what as the dice is rolling over, then lands still. What appears on the top of the cube there is looks like a blob. Looks like a shape of a metal slime from like Dragon Warrior 3. And Lydia speaks up. She says, "Slime, but slimes are so boring." Okay, let's see how the rest goes. Go ahead and roll another one.
So far, so good.
Metal slimes just run away anyway, so we'll be fine.
But you don't get any XP if that's the case.
Sure.
And this dice you roll, and when it flips around to the before it lands showing an explosion. It looks like a bomb blowing up. And Lydia says, "An exploding slime. Now this could be exciting." And the next die next to it, this one looks like it has like elements on it. Go ahead and roll another d4. 6. Well, now we're definitely getting interesting. This one, the symbol that shows up as a skull, that the eyes are glowing in it. She says, "We've got an undead exploding slime. Let's see how the last one goes." And one more die.
That's allergic to bees. That's allergic to bees.
Yep.
Actually, almost the opposite, because what comes up on this one looks like a shield symbol, and it's resistant. So
resistant to bees.
You got an undead. Let's see, slime, exploding, undead, and resistant. I have to build the monster, so it's going to take a second here. Give me a sec. There's just too many options. I didn't build them all ahead of time. But the two of them are clapping and just excited and seem like they're just having so much fun. Is there a quick way to clear these? That'll do. What are you guys doing while they're kind of talking amongst themselves and kind of clapping? In fact, you're hearing a voice coming from behind you too. What are you guys doing?
Well, since I know that we're about to fight, then I'm doing this. One of those dice rolls.
Yeah, I'm just gonna whisper over to these guys. If we find out that it's Tom that's doing the decision making, we gotta have some healthy words with them.
So you do know you're not the only teams here, the two of you that did come in, but you do know that that of course Trum and Rowan and Antonia are here as a team as well. So it could have been them that forsook you. You just don't necessarily know for sure. Add all these resistances. Give me just a sec, dudes. But you are hearing voices from behind you. Anybody do anything about that?
Turn around and see what it is.
Yeah, just do some investigation or something.
Yeah.
Both of you roll perception.
Perception.
Yeah. The necrotic fire, cold. Slashing, bludgeoning, piercing, psychic, force. I know I'm forgetting some. Alright, that'll do. I think that's it. Peter, you're hearing talking, quiet, from less talking and more of a psst, psst coming from behind you.
I'll whip around, see what's going on.
As soon as you whip around and look, and you see laying at the edge of you guys are standing on a platform, and this platform is only about a foot or so tall, and laying on the ground just past the edge of the platform, basically where the edge of the platform is on the ground below, is a disembodied head. Just a head. There's no the neck where the neck is severed is not bloody or anything. It looks just like your stump. It's just a head just laying there, and it's laying on its side, looking at you, going psst, psst, trying to get your attention. But just as he's doing that, Edward and Lydia are clapping maniacally, and you're hearing like piped in, almost like a laugh track of like a crowd clapping, like an audience of a TV show, and they are looking around at the machinery there of all of these kind of assembly line things on the roof, and as soon as they've kind of gathered around and everything is ready to go, apparently, you look over towards the middle of this. You're hearing all these machineries kind of whirring and stuff like that, and at the top center of this chamber here, a big wooden crate just falls out of the top where this machinery is, cracks against the floor, and almost like it's designed to do this, the four panels of the box, the lid falls off to one side and the four panels fall open, and sure enough, right in the middle of this is this disgusting greenish blackish slime that begins to kind of move its way towards you. And go ahead and roll initiative. Everybody's got real shitty initiative scores, partially from the disadvantage. Keep in mind you'll have disadvantage, I think, on attacks and everything too, because you guys are still exhausted from not sleeping or anything yet. Alright, we are ready to go. Let me go. I didn't make a map for this one, only because it would have changed from a few different things. So we'll just be doing this one, Theater of the Mind. But basically, it's about 15 feet away. The three of you do see this slime that the outer skin, for lack of a better word, of this kind of viscous blob keeps popping in different directions, and there's parts of it that just keep bursting, and every time it does, a bit of this slime is kind of flung in your direction, like in all directions, but some of it coming your direction, and everywhere it lands is sizzling into the ground. What are you guys doing? It is Navarre's turn first.
Oh boy. Alright. Alright, so wrong one. We're gonna use flame arrows. Let's see what that does.
Okay. So you crumple up a small bit of manganese and just brush it against the tip of the arrow, and on your quiver they all begin to kind of light up in this glowing orange. Is that an action or a bonus action?
I thought it was the bonus action. Maybe not.
Does it have a B on it? Where's flame arrow at?
Level 3.
Level 3?
Yeah, bonus action.
Okay, cool. All right. So what are you doing for your action? That's your concentration too. So yeah, you have concentration up. Everything's good. Cool.
Alright, so we're gonna do this.
Alright, so as this thing is even kind of beginning to approach you, you loose one of these arrows out at it, and it sinks straight into it. It doesn't even slow down. Like, it basically goes straight through it. It doesn't look like it hurt it as well as you would have expected to it. Remember, because it's resistant, it's going to be resistant to everything you do, which means you're going to be doing half damage to it, and it has a shit ton of HPs. So hit the damage effect from flame arrow so that it's applied to you, and then roll your damage. There you go. You rolled 2 ones. That cut in half would be nothing, but you did a total of 5 damage to the thing. Is that it for your turn?
Yeah.
Alright, Ketis' turn.
Okay.
And as soon as, when you said damn it, by the way, this little pufflet, the same way that if you're in the cold and you see, your breath, like in the cold, every time you, like when you said damn it about the arrow not hurting it very much and you're rolling shitty, you said damn it and this little puff of black smoke comes out. And Lydia and Edward are just standing to the side, just clapping and just cheering and being so elated, just having the best time watching you guys suffer. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you guys, this may have given you a hint. This arc is called the Suffering Game. Maybe I should have given you a hint of what you were in for. Alright, what are you doing, Ketis?
Okay, I pop my shield up, and then I'm going to use my shield master. Now, is that a reaction or a bonus action, or can it be either?
You have a choice. Well, you have depending on what you want to do with it. So, shield master, the feat, has a few different things you can do with it. So, what are you trying to do?
The one that's where I take half damage if it does, like a fireball type spell. That's what I want.
You mean the avoid all damage one?
Yeah.
I think that's passive. Let's see. If you're subjected to an effect that allows you to make a dex saving throw to only take half damage, you can use your reaction to take no damage. So that would be the reaction version, yeah. If you succeed the save. Basically, if it does something like Fireball, and you roll your dex save, you can use your reaction to just take 0 damage if you chose to. But that's not something you need to choose now. That's basically if that happens.
Okay, then do I need to just click the effect on the shield master?
Not for that.
Or does it just? Okay, so that's
just
okay.
For that one you don't need to.
All right. Then I'm not going to worry about that. Then I'm going to use. Where is it? My Investiture Stone.
Did you? Oh, you didn't end up using Spider Climb. Okay.
No, I didn't. Yeah, because we got him up.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead and mark it off. Like you get that once every short rest or something.
Yeah, I think so. And then, do I need to target him on the tracker? I'm going to use my bonus action, because that was my action, right? Use my bonus action. I'm going to use Crow's Mark on the slime.
Okay. Yeah, you still need to target him.
Okay.
I mean, if you can just drag it over and drop it on him, but you might as well target on him. It would work the same way. There you go. And you want to hit the effect. Actually, both effects. There you go. Okay, that if your turn.
Yeah, because I use my bonus.
Peter, I forgot to put Toki back on here. Let me go ahead. I mean, we can... I'll leave him off of the tracker just so we don't have to click through him, but we know that you can use him to distract and things like that if you choose to. Just so he's not taking up a slot on the tracker.
That works.
Just remember on your turn. The reason I put him up there was to remind, but I don't think you'll forget. We're pretty used to it now, so... You're going to have Toki distracting him?
Oh yeah, is it Toki's turn?
Yeah, I'm just going to have Toki act with you for now. If there's a... Basically, when it's on a board, it's a lot easier to keep track of it. When it's not on the board, then it just takes up an extra slot and it gets more confusing. So for now, we'll just say he's acting with you the same way.
Sounds good. Send Toki out to start swatting at the slime like a freak watermelon.
Okay. Okay. The very annoyed and annoying cat goes kind of running over the way that a cat does if he's trying to pounce on something, like he's trying to hunt a bug, and pounces over towards this annoying slime and bats at it with an annoyed claw, like the way that they'll kind of just try to just a quick strike at something, and is just trying to get it as distracted as possible. So it's got the next attack on it will be advantaged.
All right, I have 30 feet movement, so I'm just going to move back away 30 feet if possible. I don't know how large the room is.
You make a perception roll on Peter. You're not sure how much space is behind you, but I'll say it this way, that you step backwards and try to... well, never mind, level 13. You don't see walls in this place.
Alright, I will step back as far as it'll let me, so 30 feet maximum.
Okay, you were 15 feet away before, so you can take you 45 feet back.
Alright, 45 feet back, target slime, and just chuck a firebolt at him.
Okay. Nobody's moved yet, so the Kitas and Ivar, you guys are 15 feet away. You're gonna throw a firebolt at him?
Yeah, firebolt.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and target him on the tracker.
Sorry, I never use a tracker here.
You're fine. Just hold down control and then click on him. There you go, you got it. And then click the cast button. Oh, it was a 1 on the critical table. Okay, I was confused. You got a natural 20 on the roll, so it showed a 1. And I was like, how was that a critical if it's a 1? You send the firebolt just flaring out of your hands as you're kind of running, moving yourself backwards. You send this small kind of contained bolt of fire at it that bursts into it, and as soon as it lands inside the skin of this thing, it erupts and explodes. And as soon as that happens, you see this kind of fountain of this disgusting, viscous, poisonous liquid spew up out of it like a volcano almost, that erupts and lands all around it, surrounding the entire area for about 10 feet. Thankfully, Naivar and Kitas are far enough back that they were outside the range of this. Toki is very much in the range of it, but because it was a natural 20, it lands around him, doesn't touch him, but it looks like anything within range of this, that when it gets hit, would probably be at serious risk. But the firebolt erupts inside of it. Go ahead and roll the damage on it. Wait, 9, 7. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it like it is. 5, 4, 3, 9, 7, 5. It's 30. It's not flying resistance. That's fine. I'm not gonna change it. He should be resistant to all of it, but I'm not going to change it because his HP is so high anyways. But so the thing explodes inside of it, erupts. A big chunk of the slime is missing now where this eruption occurred, and where you would almost expect it to kind of just recoalesce. It's like that hole is still there, like it's not regenerating it, as well as you kind of expected that it would. Anything else for Peter's turn? Any bonus actions?
That's it. Can I look around the place that we're fighting just to kind of see the environment? Are there any ledges? Are there anything above us? Things that I could use to assist us in the battle for the environment.
There are, well, so there's basically a whole bunch of what look kind of like air ducts almost, running along the ceiling, that all kind of come together in the center. There's 6 of them, 6 different of these tubes, square-shaped tubes essentially, that come towards the middle, and that's where all the parts were coming in, basically, where the box fell out from the ceiling and the slime was inside of it. So there's those that you could presumably get on top of. As far as features of the room, that's basically it. There's just this big circular platform that you're on with this slime far enough. Well, you jumped off of it to get further away. The head is still over nearby. Are you... I'd say go ahead and make a Arcana check on Peter. There is a very strong, glowing, extremely powerful source of arcane magic here in this room with you. That is, you see the two glows that are just the regular Arcana kind of a Chocolo, coming from Edward and Lydia. They're both still there and glowing, but there's another source in here that is not visible that is also glowing, very, very bright.
All right.
What are you doing?
Oh, still my turn?
Well, I mean, you have a bonus action still, so I mean, you used your movement and an action.
I think I'm good for now.
Okay.
I just want to use another action.
All right. Then it'll be the slime's turn.
No.
Huh?
Oh, is it saying no?
Yeah, this could get very dangerous for you guys very fast. So, its speed is 20 feet, and Ketis and Navarre were both 15 feet away. This amorphous blob that is constantly erupting these kind of spores of poisonous goo and gas and everything out from it as it's kind of working its way towards you. There's still this big chunk missing out of it. You still have Toki still sitting there just batting away at it over and over again, just hissing and howling and snapping at it, getting this greenish blackish goo all over its stupid white fur. But he kind of, the slime thing moves very close to you. Both of you roll a wisdom save. You need to beat a 15.
Huh.
You got it. Well, 15 plus 9, so I mean, you got it. Ooh. This goo is just something about it is extremely scary to you. Like it's just the style of it. It's almost like what's the word I'm looking for? Like a nonsensical fear. The way that some people are, afraid of stupid shit like, say, crickets or whales or something like that. Just random obscure things. There's something about this that is just really fucking scary to you, and you are frightened. Find it. There it is. Ketis, you are frightened, and what frightened means is you cannot move towards it. You have to make a wisdom save to try to move towards it. Basically, all of your turns have to be trying to run away from it until you get that effect off. Let me find it real quick. I thought it showed what the effects are here. I might have to check the book. I know it's basically that you can't move towards it, but let me find it real quick. There it is, conditions. A frightened creature has disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls while the source of its fear is within its line of sight. The creature can't willingly move closer to the source. Well, you already have disadvantage, so that part doesn't matter. You just can't move closer to it. You have to try to run away from it, just from it being close to you. I'll take that one off. I didn't. Okay. But it is going to slam both of you. So as soon as it gets close within range, there, it kind of snakes out these pseudopods, just basically a big chunk of its flesh, for lack of a better term, goes snaking out towards each of you. Which natural 20 crits on Naivara, and a 19 on Ketis, so it hits both of you. Navarro, you're going to have to make a concentration check to keep your flaming arrows up. Here's the damage. Ooh, shit. You successfully kept concentration, but it did 24 bludgeoning and acid damage to you. Oops. And to Ketis, 18 damage, which you also kept your concentration. So both of you successfully kept your concentration, but both got smacked in the leg and the knee. One of you in the leg, one of you in the knee, with these pseudopods of this black, sticky, poisonous goo.
I was just going to say, can I react to this or no?
Yeah, it's a hit. You're going to react?
Yeah, see if I can hit him with the Hellish Rebuke and see if it'll land.
Sure.
Since because you said that I have disadvantage on attacks even without the fear, so I guess I might as well try anyway. So
yeah, you got disadvantage because of the exhaustion anyways, and the disadvantage doesn't stack, so it's not going to be any worse. It missed though. No, sorry, it was a fail. Never mind. That was a save. Okay. So let me see your Hellish Rebuke. It needed to beat a 17. It got an 11, which is a failure. So it takes full damage. Go ahead and hit the fire, the damage. Okay. 39 damage. Damn. Mark up for spell slot. Now, the pseudopod comes out, smacks out, hits you in the knee, you're just under your shield, basically, where your shield was blocking it, and you just throw your arm out around your shield and send out this searing fire that bursts into it. And of course, as soon as it did, just like when it erupted when the firebolt smashed into it from Peter, this thing explodes again and knocks out 20 damage to each of you from this kind of explosion of this goo that just blows up, kind of up above your heads and comes raining down on you. You both take 20 damage. Remember, it's exploding. Navara's taking a beating already. You just have this rain of this black slime lands on you guys. Old Nickelodeon Gak style. It is Navara's turn. What are you doing? This thing is right next to you. You were just kind of bathed in slime, undead slime. What?
Well, first, I'm actually going to use my healing word.
The one you didn't give up?
Yeah, that one.
Don't you have higher level healing spells by now?
Some of them, but they take stuff that I haven't bought yet.
Gotcha. Okay. Right. So is that an action? No, that's a bonus action. What level were you casting it at?
It was level 2.
Okay.
So it was already on there.
Okay. Go ahead and mark off your spell slot, and that's a bonus action. So you mumble the necessary incantations and feel the kind of acidic burns begin to kind of slough off and heal over. And what are you doing with your action?
First off, I'm gonna go and try to get on the other side of it and back away.
Okay. You will be leaving its range, which means it will get an opportunity attack on you.
What's the range on it?
5 feet. So if you can disengage, you can use your action to disengage if you choose to. That means it won't get an opportunity attack, but it does mean using your action to do that.
And then don't get anywhere near it again.
Yeah, I think I'll do that.
You can disengage?
My flame arrows, yeah.
You probably don't want to take any
They don't do a
hits.
lot of damage right now anyways.
Okay, alright, so you kind of skirt yourself around it, and then just as you're about to kind of, remember, it doesn't have a face, it's not like looking at you, it's just a pile of goo, but just as you're about to kind of get away from it, you see another pseudopod lash out as you're trying to smack you, and you just kind of jump out of the way just in time. That's what your disengage is, and go running past it. So you're now 30 feet behind it.
The metal slimes have little smiley faces.
Yeah, this one lost its smiley face when Peter hit it with a firebolt and blew its face off. Alright, so Ketis, you are still in range. Navar, you're 30 feet away. Peter, you're 45 feet away. It is looking pretty beat up already. You guys have done pretty severe damage to it. It's the initial form that fell out of the box, it looks like it's about half exploded right now.
Okay.
What are you doing?
Is it my turn?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Your turn.
Okay,
Navar
then
used
first
her
thing...
turn to run away. She
Yeah,
just loves
okay.
blowing up children and running. That's her favorite things to do.
Well, I figured she would hit it again, so it would drop acid on me again and she could laugh.
I should have.
I'm going...
You rolled max for your healing word. Nice. Rolled 2
That's
4s.
good. I don't have to disengage. Well, actually, no, I need to try to do something first, don't I?
Do you have mobile on Ketis?
Yeah,
You
but I have
sure?
to try to hit it
You got
first
on
before it
Drost.
works, right?
Oh,
You
no,
don't have it on
that's on
Ketis.
Drost, dude. That's wrong.
Yeah.
I have mobile on Ketis, too.
Shit. Okay. Yeah, you have mobile on Ketis, which means you don't need to try to hit it.
It's something else with Drost that does that, I think.
Yeah, it's
isn't
Drost.
it?
Drost has the swashbuckler thing that means that if you try to hit it, you don't have to disengage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Well,
you
then
don't have
what
to
I'm going...
disengage. You can just run anytime.
Okay, then I'm going to move first, so that way I don't get hit. And I'm going to go... Is that... I'm going to go... Do I remember where that head was talking from? Did I hear that talking, or are the two heard that?
Let me look at your roll real quick. I know Peter did, but I think you were below the DC. Let me check real quick.
Okay.
This is still during the fight. There it is. Yeah, you heard it too. Yeah, actually, all three of you would have heard it.
Okay, I'm gonna go disengage and then see if I can go move over and find that head and ask him what he was whispering about and see if he knows anything about the slime.
Okay. All right. So where that is.
If I can still reach it.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it's within.
Without getting hit by the slime or whatever.
It's 20 feet from you, 15 feet from you actually. So you'll still have with mobile, you'll have 25 feet left over.
Okay. And is that away from the slime or closer to him?
That's away. That's towards the edge.
Okay, good. Good.
Hang on, I think I got kids knocking at the door. One sec. Okay, I'm back. Kid wanted to play with the dogs and they were in here with me. Yeah, so you run away from the slime. It's about 15 feet back. So you're 15 feet away from him now. Nivara's 30 feet, and that gets confusing when you're trying to do a theater of the mind, huh? That's only 3 of you. Imagine trying to do that with a bunch, because a lot of people play that way. A lot of people don't use maps or anything at all. Anyway, you run off of the edge of the platform. In fact, make a dex save. Just don't roll above a 3.
Come on forward.
Yeah, it's fine. I just want to make sure you didn't, roll an ankle jumping off the edge. You stop off of the edge and kind of flip yourself around, throw your shield up in front of you, between you and the slime. And that head is there, and looking up at you. It's just a disembodied head. It's just a head. That's it, laying on one ear, basically, laying on the ear and looking towards the platform. And he says, hey, look, I know I'm just a head, but like, can you help me out here?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, all right. Well, I'll tell you what. Just don't let that thing kill me, and we can talk after. Does that sound good?
Cool. Works for me. Do you know anything about it? Any tips you might know?
I mean, I got lots of tips for this place, but this room is just risky for everybody. Every time that I see people come through here, they usually don't leave. So just be real careful and see what you can do to get out of here. But if you can finish that thing off, you take me with you, okay? I'll tell you all the tips you need to know.
All right. See you in a few minutes then.
All right. I would say
Did I take my action?
I'd say that was your bonus action to do that, like your bonus action and 15 feet of your movement, so you still have 25 feet of movement and your action.
Okay. Then I'm going to see if I can... Okay, I saw the target. See if I can hit him with a couple of death knells and push him away from us this time.
You'll be pushing him from this angle, you're going to be pushing him towards Nivara.
Okay, then I'm not...
You want to run a few feet off to the left to push him?
Yeah, actually... Yeah, then I'll do that, so that way the angle changes, because I've still got some more movement.
Okay, alright. Yeah, you got enough. So, I mean, if you run your 25 feet off to the left, you can push him away that wouldn't be pushing towards her or towards Peter.
That's what I will do.
You guys would be kind of like 4 points of a square, essentially, where the slime is one of it, and you 3 are the opposite sides. So, alright, go ahead and, so you run off to the left and start firing your... That still hits, nice. You send this kind of, in fact, the ball of energy that you send towards it looks almost the same as the slime itself. This kind of roiling ball of black and green, and it smashes into it, and it goes through the outside of this thing because the outside doesn't have much resistance, not like skin or metal or something. So it actually goes inside of it for a good couple of inches before it erupts and explodes, causing, of course, another shower of this slime to blow up like a volcano. And then just shatter around it, along with this kind of cascading, erupting sound. Go ahead and roll the damage. Okay, and the force of which, of course, has knocked it back a little bit. Go ahead and roll your second one. And Peter, you're coming up.
Oh, that's 20 there, man.
Yeah, you lost the 20 on that disadvantage. But it also hits. Go ahead and roll the damage. Okay, and you have successfully pushed it back 20 feet. So distance-wise, you were about 15 from it. You're now 35. It puts it a little closer to Nivara. basically you're all outside of its exploding range. So is that it for your turn?
Yeah, because my bonus action we used to talk to the head.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. All right, Peter. Toki. I'm going to say that Toki is very carefully and very deftly, after seeing the first explosion, is very carefully jumping out of the way to avoid being, landed on by this rain of poisonous goo. So what's Toki doing? What are you doing?
Change of plans for Toki. Instead of attacking and distracting, he's now going to switch to a weird cuddling type of situation where he just kind of rubs his face on it, almost like in an affectionate manner.
Okay, so when he starts doing that, you all of a sudden notice that there's no more black smoke coming out of the stupid cat's face anymore. and now he looks like he's just very happily rubbing his scent sacs on the side of the slime.
Perfect.
Continuing
And
to disadvantage, though.
I am 40 feet away still.
Thereabouts, yeah.
All right, I like to move within 30 feet
Okay.
of the slime, and then I will cast Infestation on slime.
What? Oh, is that a cantrip? Okay. Infestation. Let's see. That is, you cause a cloud of mites, fleas, and other parasites to appear momentarily on one creature that you can see within range. The target must succeed on a con saving throw, or it takes 1d6 poison damage, and moves 5 feet in a random direction if it can move, and its speed is 5 feet. Roll a d4 for what direction. The spell's damage decreases when you reach, let's see, you are past 11, so it'll be 3d6 damage. Let me update the spell damage real quick. There you go.
I'm hoping that random push doesn't move it towards anybody.
You're all far enough away that it's not going to push him within range, at least not for that turn. Right. I thought he was going to be immune to it, but he's not. He's immune to some things, he's not immune to poison. Probably doesn't make sense, but that's fine. Okay, go ahead and roll it. Okay. You don't even see these things appear, you guys, but obviously Peter knows that they're there. But Peter reaches into a pocket, and the two, for Kitas and Navarra, you see him just hold out 2 fingers pinched together as if he's holding something there, but there's nothing there for you to see as far as you can tell. But he takes these pinched fingers and flings it, even though it's at quite a distance away, flings this nothing towards the slime. Peter, you know that you're throwing a living flea. You picked a living flea out of your pocket, an actual live flea, and threw it at this thing, and you don't see anything happen to the slime except that it starts to like jiggle and shake as if it's like uncomfortable somehow, which is of course a weird thing for a slime. But it's being kind of swarmed with these fleas. Go ahead and roll the damage on it. Oh, you actually rolled Firebolt. Roll the...
Oh, my bad.
All good. Yeah, you rolled the Firebolt anyway, so let me take that 17 off. Back at 92. Alright, go ahead and roll the Infestation one, because there's actually a con save that has to make.
Okay, cast.
Yeah, hit the cast button. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it still succeeds. Go ahead and roll the damage on it. Hit the 3d6 poison magic. There you go, for a total of 10. Why did that not apply? There we go. Cool. It is now infested with fleas. As if this thing wasn't gross enough. Okay, that it for your turn? Any bonus actions?
I'd like to kind of turn towards that, image, the hidden image, and see if I can kind of use some arcane or just perception on it.
Go ahead and roll a flat wisdom check. You, looking at the outline of it, you know two things from that roll. You know that it's just invisible, that this thing is just invisible, and that you have the means of being able to see invisible things if you chose to do so. But just from the massive amount of magical force coming off of it, you're able to see it just from just an arcana glow, basically, from it. And secondly, the form and shape of this thing, it's that same lich that's been following you, is in this room with you.
Gotcha. Can I use my third eye for see invisibility?
You can't right now. Take your action to do so. And
Gotcha. Okay.
You used it for infestation. You could on your next turn, though, if you chose to.
All right.
But if your turn.
That's it.
Okay. It is the slime's turn. It is far enough away from you guys that it is going to... so all three of you watching see this thing looking somewhat confused and and shuddering almost because of the flea infestation. It is going to, looks like it melts kind of into the ground almost, and then let's see, the closest it could get is Nivara. It melts into the ground, and then you see, all three of you see it kind of begin to resurface or reappear out of the ground right in front of Nivara, about 10 feet away rather. So close to Nivara, it reappears out of the ground, not within range to attack, because it can't get that far, but it is a very scary kind of a motion. Nivara, make a wisdom save. You need to beat a 15. Or be frightened. Damn it. Navara's too wise. Except for killing children. Apparently she thinks that's wise. Alright, Navara's turn. What are you doing?
Alright, so...
You might want to move a little bit before it gets closer.
Yeah, it's 10 feet away, so if it gets hit, you're going to take some damage.
Alright, so I'm going to... How far is this? Alright, so yeah, so I'm going to back up as far as I can.
Okay, that is 30 feet. That'll give you 40 feet of range.
And I'm going to use Wall of Fire.
Okay. What wall is that?
4, I think. Yeah, that's like level 4.
There it is, Wall of Fire. Who's got all the cops driving around?
We do.
Yeah.
Is that what the dog was mumbling at, too?
Oh no, that was just her wanting to play.
Alright. Wall of Fire, concentration. You do have flame arrows up, so you're going to have to drop flame arrows to put this up.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. You create a wall of fire on a solid surface within range. You can make the wall up to 60 feet long, 20 feet high, 1 foot thick, or a ringed wall, blah, blah, blah. Wall is opaque and lasts for the duration. When the wall appears, each creature within the area must make a dex save. On a failed save, the creature takes 5d8 fire damage, or half as much on a success. One side of the wall selected by you when you cast a spell deals 5d8 damage to each creature that ends its turn within 10 feet of that wall, or of that side, or inside the wall. Creature takes same damage when it enters the wall for the first time, or ends its turn there. Other side of the wall deals no damage. Alright, so tell me what you're doing, and what level you're casting it at.
Well, I'm going to keep it a level 4.
Okay.
But I was thinking of just, like, building a wall of fire, like, around it.
A circle around it, like a ring?
Yeah.
In a burning ring of fire?
Yeah. Down, down, down.
Alright, you reach into the pouch at your side, and you pull out your focus, which is that statue of Anu that you've had for so long, the carved one that Kita's got back for you. You pull it out along with a small piece of phosphorus, and you kind of crunch that in your fingers and rub it across the statue, making this kind of like ash mark over it, and hold out and focus yourself through it, and this wall begins to kind of roll up out of the ground surrounding this thing, almost dome-like, almost coming up to where it's connected at the top, surrounding this thing. How far around? Because it's within 10 feet of it or inside the wall, so you're just putting so that it's on the same distance all the way around, like 10 foot away from it all the way around, or what? What do you how close are you getting?
Yeah, about 10 feet all the way around. Sure.
Okay. Go ahead and hit the concentration effect for Wall of Fire, and then it needs to make a dex save. So go ahead and hit the cast button, and mark off your stealth slot too. Hey, babe. Hang on. What? Most likely. I didn't think everything that I took out of the washer is in the basket that's in the building. There wasn't anything else in it. I didn't see any comforter. I don't know what you're talking about. All the stuff that was in the washer was just like some small clothes and stuff like that. It's what's in the basket. I don't know what comforter you're talking about. Did you move it and forget?
No, I thought
It wasn't in the dryer. And all I did was grab the stuff that was in the dryer and put it in the bedroom. And then I took the sheets and everything. There's a comforter in there, but the sheets in there. The stuff that I had in the washer, yes. Oh, then this is earlier. So no, I didn't. Alright, I'm back. Let's see. It failed its save. So that whole, almost a dome, basically goes up around it. And you can... Actually, I wouldn't even say you can hear it. You can smell it cooking a little bit inside of there, which is disgusting. Go ahead and hit the damage. Ketis is up next. This thing is looking... well, never mind, you can't see it. But it's not in good shape. That's how I'll say that. And basically, you guys can't see anything, but you're smelling this stuff burning now inside there, inside this dome that Navarre's made. Is that it for your turn?
Yeah.
Okay, Ketis' turn.
Okay. Put my shield back up just to be safe.
Okay.
And
You can't see it anymore. It's just, there's a dome basically there, is all you can see.
okay. I guess I wouldn't know until I tried, but could I shoot a death knell at it without being able to see it, since I know this? Whether or not it makes it through the wall, I don't know.
Well, so how that works is normally it would just be a disadvantage because you wouldn't be able to see the target, but I'd say that this would be even more at disadvantage because it's inside that dome somewhere, you just don't know where, and it's a pretty good sized dome. It's not as if it was... well, you know what, we'll just leave it at regular disadvantage because, I mean, you knew where it was before the wall went up, so it's probably not that much different. You wouldn't have expected it to move much, but still a disadvantage.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I have too much else to do anyway, and I can't get through that wall, so I will try to do it.
Okay. So click the disadvantage and then hit your cast button.
Got a 5, huh? Probably didn't hit it.
It actually still did. The AC on this thing is really low. It doesn't move very fast. So you you send it through the wall and see it disappear. You don't necessarily... Ketis doesn't necessarily know, but because I need you to roll damage on it, then you do know that it hits. So go ahead and roll damage. Okay, and you can do it again.
Yeah.
Okay. And also hits.
Sweet.
Again, Ketis doesn't know whether these hit or not. He just knows that he's sending it into the middle there.
Yeah.
Okay, that if you're
Hoping. I'm actually going to use my second wind as my bonus. And I'm good.
Alright, oh shit, I messed up on something earlier. So I'm gonna have to rewind this just slightly. Earlier, hang on one second, let me find it. Okay. Earlier, just real quick, to rescind something that occurred. A couple rounds ago, Navarra tried to heal herself. And as soon as the incantation went off, and she felt that there was just no effect for some reason, Edward goes, tisk, 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 now. Now hold on just a second, what do you think you're doing?
Trying to heal myself.
Lydia says, now that's just cheating. You know the rules here. Once you sacrifice something here, you don't get it back. There's no healing in Wonderland.
So it wasn't just that one spell?
There is no healing in Wonderland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that second wind, I would say because you would have seen that happen, so I would say that you didn't try to use your second wind, so you can still have it later if you choose to. But I'm going to take the points back off.
Okay.
You were at 12, and that means that was 12 that Navarra healed herself, putting her back to 20. So that's it. Basically, you guys can't heal yourselves while you're in here.
Okay, then no bonus action for me, so then skip my turn. Or finish my
Peter?
turn. Yeah.
Peter's turn.
Actually, I'm going to make sure I move enough away from it before, that I'm out of its range and I'll stop my turn. So.
Well, it's still inside of that wall anyways, and it was looking very rough before you even were throwing your death knells in. So, Peter, your turn.
Alright, I assume I'm still pretty far away from it now, 30 feet?
Yeah.
Alright.
You moved within 30 feet, and it hasn't moved again since. So.
Alright, I'm gonna see what's going on with that lich. Cast See Invisibility on the invisible guy.
Okay. Instead of your third eye?
Yeah, third eye.
Oh, wait, that is... Yeah, okay. You don't have See Invisibility. Okay, so just your third eye. Go ahead and mark it off. Oh, that's the version you're using. I see. Okay. Okay. As soon as you do that, then you look over, and that exactly what you expect. You see that that gray-coated lich form kind of floating up just above the ground a little bit. That you're staring straight at it. He turns and looks at you, and then brings a finger and covers the lips with it. He's telling you to don't tell on him. Basically, don't let them know that he's there. What are you doing?
I'm gonna look over dead straight in its face and just point at it, just for intimidation, because it's a lich.
This is the same one that is, implored that you trust him. But that's you point at him. I would say make a performance check. That's low. Neither Edward nor Lydia seem to be noticing what you're doing, but the lich definitely does, and is like wide-eyed and starts to kind of float away, and looks like he's starting to disappear through the wall, like he's moving up through the wall.
All right, and that was my action for this turn.
Well, using third eye is your action, yes.
Okay.
So any bonus actions or movement?
Yeah, keep my distance. Make sure that I'm 35 feet away from the slime.
Okay.
And then Toki's just continuing to rub and be stupid.
Okay. It is the slime's turn then. Let's see. You guys don't hear anything, but all of a sudden, in front of Ketis, this blob then begins to move itself up out of the ground again. It went down under the ground and came back under Ketis, going under the wall of fire, and is now outside of it. Actually, wait, never mind. Okay, it started its turn within range, so actually you got to roll the damage on the fire again and see if that kills it first, because it started its turn close to it, so that's where it counts. God damn it! You had 10 HPs left. You did 12.
Yeah.
So you guys don't see or hear anything. Of course, the fire's just continuing to burn, but there is kind of a smell that's permeating the air. I wonder how that you don't know that it's dead. So I guess you tell me what it is that you're doing while you still think that it's alive inside of this dome. You know what? I have an idea, I suppose. So. There we go. Alright, so Edward and Lydia still staring at this, what they look like or what they think is a fight is going on. But from the side there, looks like Ketis is still closest to the head, and it's going psst, psst, like trying to get your attention again. What are you guys doing?
I'm going to go over and talk to him.
That wasn't what I meant to play. It says, okay, what are Navarra and Peter doing?
I'm gonna group back up with everyone and help Ketis out with that severed head, I guess.
Okay. Navarra?
Well, we don't actually know that the blob is dead, right?
That's exactly it. Is you don't know that it's dead.
So I would probably be still standing there trying to keep my distance and wait to see if it pops out.
Okay. So Peter and Ketis are both over by the head, and kind of preparing just in case this blob is still alive in there. How long does your wall last? It is up to 1 minute.
1 minute?
So yeah, so that'll work. Narratively, that works fine. But as Peter comes over, the head goes, "Hey guys, my name's Cam. I'm afraid I can't offer much of a formal handshake, but it's nice to meet y'all."
Nice to meet you too.
So well, let's just say that I made a wager and it didn't go so well. How's your guys' trip through Wonderland going?
Man, it's actually been really fun so far, hasn't it been, guys? It's fantastic. I love that fight. Man, that was easy.
Peter, any response?
Yeah, so far so good. No issues.
You notice that Lydia and Edward are both still clapping, but they're kind of slowing down a little bit. Like, damn it! Like it looks like these jerks are going to win. Cam says, "Well, I'd love to tell you guys a little about me and sort of what I'm bringing to the table first, but you wouldn't happen to have a certain like a tasty spicy treat with you, would you?"
I'm sorry, I said tasty spiced treat?
Tasty spicy treat. Food. He's asking if you guys have any kind of food. He says, I can't really swallow, but I could chew on it a while. Maybe get some taste. This place has been awfully boring.
We still got one of those rolls from Mammy. Or if not, I'm sure we have rations. But
yeah, you guys have like you have the jerky that Antonia gave
Yeah,
you.
okay.
You have that kind, all kinds of stuff.
Give him some jerky or something.
So you toss it down to him, and you just toss it in the dirt next to him because you're still trying to pay attention to the slime in case it's still there. And he kind of rolls its head off to the side, and he's trying to get his mouth on it. He's just a head, so it's kind of difficult for him. But he eventually gets it. He kind of starts to chew on it. And he's just making awkward chewing sounds. He goes, "This is good stuff. I like you guys. You guys seem like nice. So what brought you to Wonderland?"
That one or no?
Don't look at me. I'm still standing over there waiting for a blob.
She's still in the fight while you guys are just relaxing now.
We came in with some friends and we're looking for something.
Well, that must be a pretty fucking good something to come in here. Wonderland's a real risky place. He says, oh, okay. Yeah, he just says that.
Yeah, well, we noticed that too.
What'd you come in here for?
Yeah.
Well, let's just say the same situation. This real... Look, I'm just going to be honest with you. This real pretty woman, real dark skin, white hair. She asked me to guide her into this place, so I did. And, she kind of left me here. She got a means of getting out, and I can't say I blame her. She escaped, and I've been stuck here ever since. Roll... Navarro's not close by. Roll a wisdom check on Peter and Ketis. Ketis, you're still kind of focused on that wall, just in case that wall comes down and there's still something in there. Peter, you're still watching that, but that description immediately stands out to you. You know exactly who he's talking about. Does Sako know who he's talking about?
White hair? Isn't that, what's her name from the crazy place?
What crazy place?
Where we just came from. Alice, I think it was, wasn't it?
No. No, the black skin and white hair is the director.
Oh, no, director. Yeah, black skin. Didn't hear that.
Yeah, black skin, white hair is the director. He's saying that he didn't mention her name, but that description, you know who it is because you knew she was here before. What you've put together based on what he just said is that he guided the director here, went through with her. She left him here. She had a chance to get out. She escaped and left him behind, and he's been stuck here ever since.
Well played.
After he says it, he says, you guys are probably caught on to this, but just to make sure you guys understand that like the point of this place is to make you suffer, right? Like there's no getting out of Wonderland. So you're gonna look, I don't know what you. I know you came here for something, and that's great and all, but you're gonna die here, and they're gonna make you suffer just as much as possible before you do, and it's the only reason this place exists.
We'll see.
He says,
You wanna come with us?
so how about you know, last room? What'd you guys do? How'd that go?
Yeah, it was actually a breeze.
Not too bad. Lost a finger. That's all.
How about oh, lost a finger? Shit. I mean, look at me. He kind of chuckles. Like he lost everything. He's only ahead. He says, how about the Trust or Forsake? What'd you guys do there?
Trust. And
Oh,
apparently
yeah.
the other team didn't.
Yeah, we trusted.
He says, oh yeah, that was a bad move. No wonder that thing looks so dangerous. You guys, you know, you gotta pick Forsake every time, right? No matter what. That's like 101.
Oh well, if there's a next time, we'll keep that in mind.
This is all right. Well, I mean, anyway, that's not important. You guys seem like nice dudes, and I mean, I think I could help you, you know, help you out and getting, you know, making progress through Wonderland and facing less gnarly fights like the one you guys just had to get through. But I mean, how does that sound? Does that sound good? Maybe you can scratch my back, and I'll scratch the back of my hair, and I'll scratch your, you know, whatever with my teeth. Anyway, this is. All right. So what he's saying is that, you know, if you guys will take him with you. Well, so you guys will have a new companion. His name is Cam, by the way. He introduced himself as Cam. Here. You guys, you know, spend a little time getting to know him while this minute is going by. Basically, while Navarra's over there holding the fight down for you two, while you're having a chat. But Cam explains that he's been in Wonderland for a while, and he alludes to the fact that he got screwed over by somebody that he brought, which was, of course, the director that he traveled into Wonderland with. But he seems like a pretty knowledgeable source of information about this place. He's been here a long time and seen lots of people come through. Do you guys have any questions for Cam to sort of, you know, kind of aid you through this place?
I'd like to ask him how far he's gone. How many games?
I mean, I didn't make it real far. We came through 3 rounds before she had the opportunity to forsake me and leave me here.
What was the third round?
Yeah. What's the next one?
They kind of repeat. I mean, you guys will finish here, and then you're going to go back to that wheel, and it's going to start all over again, and it's going to get worse and worse every time. There are bonus rounds that'll come in, and that's where the Forsake came up. And that's when she left me here.
Alright.
Any other questions for him?
I don't think so.
I would say, Naivara, you see them talking over there, and you knew that this head was there because you heard the voice coming from there. So you see them talking. I would say that you get an opportunity to at least ask one question before Edward and Lydia. In fact, actually, I'd say it this way: the wall is starting to come down, and Edward and Lydia they look like dejected. Their heads are kind of hung down a little bit, and they're not paying much attention to you guys. They're already starting to walk towards the next room. What are you guys doing?
Ask him what's up with the black smoke that comes out of our mouths when we're pissed off.
Oh, that's the suffering. That's how they feed off of you. He says, all right, well, this is going to sound pretty cornball, but just bear with me. There's a school of thought that powerful emotions are a form of energy, just as real as heat or light or magic. So a particularly strong fear or joy, fury, love, whatever, they're not just these cognitive effects. They have actual power in the world around you. So using one of these emotional attachments like these creatures, Edward and Lydia here, they're undead spirits of some kind, and they can anchor themselves to the former identities, like a powerful love or determination or pure joy, something like that. They can maintain their reason without losing themselves to the power that they've bonded themselves to. But somehow these two that run this place are empowering themselves not with their own emotion, but with the emotions of the people who come into Wonderland. So specifically suffering, and that's where you guys are here. They're just going to get it out of you whether you like it or not.
All right.
He says, so I mean, are you guys done with questions?
Yeah, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
Sounds like the worse things are off for us, the more they feed.
Which, that's exactly it. And he says, and that's why I was, getting a good chuckle out of you guys just pretending that everything's fine and dandy in here, because we both know, I mean, look at me, I know it ain't fine and dandy in here. He says, so, look, I know there's a lot to ask, but do you think I can come with you guys?
Cool with me, I think I got one in my back.
You can throw
A
something
little
in
air hole
your
for
backpack.
you, so you can see. Yeah, look at it.
He says, I mean, but look, I'm going to be upfront with you. If I join your group, everything's going to get just a little bit harder for you guys. You're going to have to sacrifice a bit more. You're going to have to take my sacrifices on because, I mean, well, look at me. I don't really have anything else to give. So, I mean, if I come with you, it'll be a little bit harder, but I promise I can carry my weight. I know it ain't a whole lot, but, I mean, I can help you out with information and tips and tricks.
I'm okay with it if you guys are.
Sure.
Alright.
Okay.
Is there a way I can transmute some dirt or wood around us to make a small little saddle for Toki? Put the head on it.
I thought you were going to try to build a body, but no, you want a severed head to ride your cat.
Yeah, it's like Breaking Bad with the tortoise.
You build this stupid little saddle, and he's just supposed to hold the reins in his teeth.
Or you can just put him in the RVs.
Yeah, there you go.
It's,
That won't
similar
even be
to
half anymore.
Sir Lydimus from Labyrinth.
I haven't seen that in so long, I don't even remember it, but, there you go. What's up, buddy? Go on, I'm almost done. Go on. Close the door. Go ahead, you can bring it with you. So, you guys kind of have this conversation with Cam and agree to take him along. You throw him in a bag or whatever you're going to do there. Somebody carries him or something. And you guys head on through the door that Lydia and Edward passed through, which looks familiar because it is the very first chamber you guys came into with a big circle in the center that looks like a giant roulette wheel. And as you guys approach, Lydia and Edward are standing at either side of it and clapping and just so happy to see you guys again. And there is that kind of cacophonous sound of a crowd, an audience. There isn't any audience that you guys can see, but you hear just, a whole crowd just cheering and clapping. And Lydia says, "That's right, you're spinning the wheel again, only it's a bit hungrier this time. The sacrifices demanded will be a little bit brutal. Oh, also, I've seen you've added another member to your party. I'm not really sure how you did that, but, well, I mean, you'll need to complete 4 sacrifices now if you want to pass on to the next chamber." And that's where we're going to end today's session.